We're back. Night 2 of the NFL draft. It is happy hour live as we approach the Ravens pick. They're just 2 picks away here. Detroit and Vegas in front of them. The Bears pick yet to be announced. I'm sure some sort of thirsty insider has already leaked it, but I have not seen it myself. So we will continue on in suspense here, awaiting the Bears, and then, of course, awaiting the Lions and the Raiders. My name is Jake Louque. I'm joined by talk about Spencer Schultz doing a tremendous job of the draft content there. We're presented by Jimmy's Famous Seafood. How are we doing on night 2 here, my friend?
Doing well, dog. Board playing it out in an interesting way for the Ravens. We see Mike Green, allegedly not a good guy, available. Someone that was mocked in the first a ton. A lot of Ravens fans want. Darius Alexander, incredibly disruptive interior defensive lineman, certainly in play. Siobhan Revel Jr., someone who was considered a top 20, top 15 prospect prior to an ACL this past year, available. Trey Amos, long, strong corner out of Mississippi. Who else we got? We've got my boy, Jack Beck, available out of TCU. Omar Norman Lott, a disruptive defensive lineman out of Tennessee who played a very low snap count. ESPN has Ty Felton as the 22nd best player remaining, which would be fun and a little.
Where's Taylor Smythe at?
There you go. Landon Jackson, who I kind of hate, a name that's been linked to the Ravens. Azaria Thomas fits the Ravens mold. I'm on him. He has the traits. Had some up and down moments at the Senior Bowl. But yeah, Jack Sawyer, someone I've talked about, someone that I don't know. I've just always envisioned being in Baltimore. I don't know. I did have a dream that Shane Lowry would win the Masters, and that didn't come to fruition. So
you got close.
He was up there for a bit.
Yeah, and you got his best friend.
Very true. Very, very true. Who else we got? Noel Williams, cornerback out of Cal that I like a lot. Feisty. A lot of grabby corners, physical corners, tall corners, guys that are going to get PIs and people are going to complain, but we like the PIs. Who else is available? Let's see here. Torrey Horton out of Colorado State. Josh Farmer, defensive tackle out of Florida State I'm looking at. And Braden Swinson. That's one that I like a lot. Charles Grant out of William & Mary. Braden Swinson, a juiced up, explosive speed rusher. Raiders just took Beck, apparently. There we go. And the Ravens are on the clock. I'm putting the comments away. We don't want any spoilies here. So we'll see. I think it will be tough for the Ravens to pass on Revel and Amos, considering how bad Eddie Jackson and Marcus Williams were. They retain Ardarius Washington and bring in Malaki Starks. Chidobe Awuzie, they bring in and let go of Brandon Stevens, who got picked on all year. And we just know when the Ravens have issues in their secondary over time, they address it quickly, early, and often. So I wouldn't be surprised there. Who knows, man? Again, people are going to panic about this pick. I can feel it coming, but they have so many picks left. They've gotten really good production out of 3rd and 4th round guys in Eric DeCosta's tenure, especially in these drafts where they have a million of those picks. So if you're depending on that, not to poo-poo on the draft, I love it, and I'm excited to see who they pick here. But if you're depending on your 2nd round pick to make or break your season, you're not watching right, and the team would be fucked. So, focus on what guys can do, not on what they can't do, all those fun things. But we will see who they take here in just a moment. On the TV, it looks like I'm still on the Lions. What do you got on the TV? I got it. I'm closing Twitter as well. Twitter is
I got pick is in for the Lions. I think that was that Roman Reigns maybe for the Bears. Chat, you can correct me. I'll get around to it at some point. But he literally just took 20 minutes cutting a promo, which games say the game. It's night 2. That stuff flies much more than night 1, although we saw that a little bit too much on night 1, per my opinion. But yeah, we've got the Lions coming out now. Looks like Uncle Raj is walking out with some Detroiters. Shout out to Eric to make this pick. Seth Rollins. Thank you guys. Yeah, okay. To mix the Lions pick and then Raiders. I don't know if the Jack Beck thing, I saw that in the comments too. I don't know if that was accurate. We're gonna have to see.
I believe it was. We'll assume he's gone, but I don't know if that I love the player. I don't know if it would have made sense for the Ravens anyway.
Right.
At this point in time. But yeah. Interesting thought experiment of taking a receiver. They'll certainly take one. Certainly take one at some point here. But yeah. Who else is available? Scourton was taken. So I think that leaves Shamar Turner out of A&M, the third A&M defensive lineman. I think he's available. Tate Rutledge, the super athletic older guard out of Georgia, who is there with one Todd Munkin. What else we got on the docket here? Alec Manor, one of my favorite receivers in this class. Noel Williams did give him the business. Who else we got? Wyatt Malloom. I know Cole loves him. He's a super physical finisher that has some inside-outside versatility.
He's our boy from Tennessee. Is he another tackle? Did you already mention him?
Omar Norman Lott.
Yeah, the hyphenated.
Yep, that would be nice. Marcus Mbow, Ty Robinson, Charles Grant, a couple names to watch for. Still no Shadur, no Jalen Milroe. Watch the Ravens take Jalen Milroe here.
Honestly, somebody commented that in here as a joke. I saw it like briefly and I was like, oh my God. And I kept my silence, but the fact that you mentioned that, I don't know. We're going to see.
I think it would be electric.
The closer we get, they'd find a way to get him on the field. I know that.
Put him at returner, man. Put him at returner.
Put him at running back. He could, he's faster than Lamar, right?
Probably.
Self-proclaimed.
What else? I mean, Kyle Williams at receiver out of Washington State, man, I would not hate at all. Big play threat. Take the top off a little more. Bateman did that well this year, but I still think you don't want Bateman. I still think has better usage, not being typecast a bit. Taking the top off. Kyle Williams, I wouldn't hate.
I think once you get past round one, it's okay to draft for like a need beyond the next
or like
year.
A role.
Right. Yeah. A guy who can, you certainly want to get him on the field, but it doesn't necessarily need to be like, we're picking for need right now. I feel like that's more of a round one thing. And even in round one, like we saw last night, you're going to do it with a little bit of a BPA flair to it as well. So
I feel like round two is a lot of, I have this role that I want someone on my team to fulfill, especially like offensively, like Luther Burden for Ben Johnson, probably. It's like, right. I have a role in my scheme that I do want to fill. And this guy matches it, and that's who I want. Whereas, like you said, like round one, you want to get like someone that is already developed decently, is probably ready to play quickly, and you look at as someone that you hopefully sign to a second contract, and there's a BPA aspect. You don't want to reach for need too badly. But I feel like second rounds where you can kind of hit the other end of the first round. You're like, ooh, I wish we would have got this in the first round, but this guy was too good to pass. Like Malaki Starks was too good to pass on, but we really do need a burner downfield. Let's say like whatever, just a hypothetical there. So,
right.
Yeah. There's been a lot of Cam Scatteraboo Ravens linkage. I think that will happen. I'll lay down that prediction. Not in this pick, but I think that might happen round 4, round 5.
I could see that. Yeah, I could definitely see that. Henry's, one more year left on the contract. They've talked a lot about an extension, and I feel like he kind of, I don't know if he'd be the exact sort of one-to-one replica for Henry, but you could certainly try to ease him into sort of a bell cow role. And if not, I think he'd work out great as a by committee guy, similar to how you have a Justice Hill right now, who's, not old. But he's
on one end of this, you have Derrick Henry as your primary guy now. Who knows? Henry could end up being a Raven for 3 more years, and it wouldn't surprise me. On one end, there's Justice Hill, quick, smaller, plays bigger than he is, has speed, like is a gunner. Then on the other end, there's Cam Scatteraboo, who is just a thickums hammer. I mean, he's a great receiver. I think he could make a little noise in the pros. He doesn't have a 5th gear, but he'll just rumble. Everybody in the locker room will just like that guy. He's just fucking puking everywhere.
It was Jack Beck to TCU.
Yep.
Or to the Raiders from TCU, I should say.
Love Jack Beck. That's going to be an awesome fit for the Raiders, for Geno Smith, Brock Bowers, Jack Beck over the middle of the field. Tough as fucking nails. Both of those guys. Big fan of that fit. Geno has that precision ball placement too. And I think that'll be a nice receiver for him that can go over the middle, do some Robert Woodsy things. A little bit of that H roll. They'll have a little bit of yin and yang with Bowers there. Actually, it'll be yin and yin. I don't know. That wasn't a good thing to say. Beck is kind of like a tight end there. They still have Jacoby Myers. Trey Tucker broke out a little bit. I think they'll definitely add some receiver talent in the remainder of the draft. There's a little bit of it left still. Ty Felton would be a great fit for them, I think, as well. So
they're going to be a fun offense. I mean, Geno can move the ball, very competent quarterback. And I don't know. I'm just excited to see what Uncle Pete can do with that group. And also rooting like hell for Jack Beck with his brother and that whole story.
When I was down in New Orleans, I literally walked past the memorial of all the people that were in that tragic, sick, twisted, fucking fateful night.
Yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, rooting like crazy for that guy. That's for sure.
What an interesting offense. Ashton Genty, Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers, that offensive line fights. JPJ they drafted last year. Parham is a shit kicker. Colton Miller's a solid left tackle. They've got Kappa and DJ Glaze there.
DJ, don't call you DJ Glaze.
They do. In the state of Maryland, everybody's DJ Glaze, baby.
Right.
Former Terp there. So interesting group there. Defensively, I don't know. We'll see how Pete Carroll shifts. I mean, the Raiders have literally been the worst defensive team in the last 20 years, just consistently getting destroyed. But it feels like
now when they play the Ravens in Baltimore, but
very true. Very, very true. All right. The pick is in for the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to turn the TV up a little bit here.
I'm going to do the same, actually. Give me 1 second. Go get my remote.
See what we got. In the chat, it looks like I'm sure a ton of people already know this pick, and maybe you guys are laughing at us, but I would think I'll go Darius Alexander, my best guess. He's BPA, meets a little bit of a need. Michael Pierce retires. You want some shit kickers. Would like Trey Amos, would like Darius Alexander. Honestly, Revel would be pretty fun. Who knows what if they feel good about his injury history? Sure. But I'll go Darius Alexander. Best guess.
Okay. I'm gonna say Revel. Just keep doubling down on secondary.
He just looks it. He just looks like what they can't keep their paws off of.
Right.
I think that Ravens would have loved Ben Morrison out of Notre Dame, and I know you would have loved that too.
Yeah, I would. Certainly would have.
Beck will look sick in a Raiders uniform as well, so double boost there.
Yeah, it's just like, why do the Chiefs have to why couldn't they just be like 80% as good as they are? Like, why does, conversations about the AFC at large, conversations about the AFC West, you can't have them without thinking, yeah, well, what does it matter?
Oh, their little run of terror is coming into. They'll still be in the playoffs every year, but
don't do it. Don't give yourself hope.
They're reaching. I'll tell you what. They're going to reach the lull that the Brady Patriots reached for a couple years. It'll be tough for them to win. Too many moving parts. They have to phase out Travis Kelce the way that the Patriots had to phase out so many defensive guys, and what they had. I think there will be a transitive period for the Chiefs that. We'll see. Is Veach still the guy for it? Andy Reid getting up there in age for sure. Ravens, only team to finish top 10 in scoring offense and defense each of the last 2 years across the ticker here. And no one cares. No Ravens fan cares about any sort of stat like that. No one cares about any stat or anything positive other than simply winning. I don't know. I feel like Ravens fans want to win the AFC. I don't like that. Win the Super Bowl, but yeah, it feels like no matter how many stats, nobody cares anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's kind of, I'm not all the way there, and I'll never be all the way there, but at a certain point, it's like, yeah, like this is all great. Like we were talking about, last night with the draft. It's like, oh yeah, get, some great young player. That's awesome, but
got to do it in January. Mike Green on the board.
I don't know. That would be
allegedly a piece of shit.
Everything's alleged. That would surprise me.
Allegedly. Matt Miller's pro comp, Willie Anderson Jr. Actually kind of like that. I'm on ESPN here, which I don't usually use. So I don't know.
I didn't know
some weird things coming through the grapevines last night about Mike Green and the Ravens and things like that. But the talent is immense. He destroyed the Senior Bowl. anybody who gets me Henry in those one-on-ones, if you can just run through a motherfucker's face one-on-one when they know it's coming, I like you as a football player. If you can do it in Mobile, I like you. I like you a lot. So quite the drop for him. Someone that was sneaking up into the teens, definitely. I think that he was mocked to Atlanta a lot, who ended up taking Jalen Walker and trading up ahead of the Ravens to take James Pierce Jr. What else we got left? Jordan Birch, second on their board. Not incredibly familiar with his game. Josiah Stewart, lightning bolt, shorter guy out of Michigan. Braden Swinson, I mentioned. Princely Umenmelin out of Mississippi. So many Mississippi defenders in this draft. Let's see.
Trey Harris.
Ravens listed on the board. Edge, guard, cornerback, and kicker.
Shadur Sanders, Mike Green, Trey Amos.
David Walker later in this draft, an intriguing Central Arkansas. Sackmaster had a nice Senior Bowl. Had crazy production. He had 63 tackles for loss and 31 sacks over the last 3 seasons. Kyle Kennard out of South Carolina has a lot of length and strength and stopping power. So even if the Ravens don't go edge here, I think still can pick some guys up. And let's see what Adisa Isaac can do this year. If he can stay healthy and get into the action as well. But Ravens will add maybe 2 edges in this draft.
It would be nice to like have one of those mid-round edges pan out into like at least like a 5.5 sack guy in like his 3rd year. That would be nice.
It's gonna end up being a Zaria Thomas, and I'm gonna be like, yeah.
They haven't.
He is long and he is strong and he can move, but a lot of sloppy in his game.
And Revel's a little older in injury history, right?
Yeah, Revel's older. I think Revel might be 24. Yeah, in the ACL.
Okay.
And Ravens usually covet true juniors, I think, honestly, as much as if not more than anyone else in the NFL. They like 3rd-year players that are young. That whole spiel that Joe Ortiz went on about Patrick Queen and how they loved him in the 1st round because they knew that if he went back to school and in the following draft, they thought he would have been a top 10 pick. Which, hindsight, maybe might not have happened after the brain drain that happened at LSU after that season, but maybe.
Now, I know the image going around about their draft board being leaked was from a couple of years ago that was going viral the other night. I feel like they just did it again. Like, I don't.
Is it just B-roll that's old?
I can't be.
Because they played a board that had Drake May and Isaac Grendo on it. It was last year's board.
They just showed them a second ago.
Pick coming up here.
Jason Brown.
Try and look around the corner so I can get my reaction.
His son looks like a badass. He's like a Terminator.
Yeah, his son looks like he'd lay the law down. $59 is an ugly number for pick.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Zero tolerance policy is under.
I was DMing about it right before with somebody that, I don't know, just one of the Twitter folks I chat with. What did he say? He said, edge rusher's going off the board quickly. Wish we would take a chance on Mike Green. I said, if he's a piece of shit, then you can forget him. But if they take him, I'd be so pumped. He said, is he a piece of shit? I said, allegedly, with asterisks, a massive piece of shit. The Ravens and their zero tolerance policy here. I mean, I don't even want to. I'm gonna
okay,
throw that.
You know what?
Throw that in the trash. I want to throw that.
If you're gonna throw it away, throw it away. But I just don't want to hear about it anymore. Like
exactly. Well, the zero. Yeah, we're officially moratorium. We're Orlando Brown Jr.ing the zero tolerance policy. Number one.
I want to hear them say it too. I would like to hear them say, "Yeah, we're done with that." Like.
We accept people for who they are, whatever. I want to moratorium this because this young man did just get drafted, and that's huge. And there's plenty of time to talk about things like that.
Sure, absolutely.
The player himself, I have goosebumps. I mean, the player himself is a fucking rocket ship. He destroyed Josh Connolly at the Senior Bowl, massive sack production, stout run defender, explosive, very well. What have we? I mean, we've said it. We've said it. The choir boy thing. You haven't won, so they bent from that, and he is arguably the most explosive pass rusher in this. Like, I think he's up there with Abdul Carter in terms of being an explosive pass rusher. Mike Green is a fucking freak. He is a fucking freak. So that was the biggest splash they could have possibly made, in my opinion. In terms of immediate impact and at a position of need, I think that was a huge, huge, huge move. Wow. I mean, I have goosebumps. That was fucking nuts. They're bucking a trend. I mean, go read the scouting reports. Everyone loves Mike Green. Everyone. Comp, I think, from your boy, Jeff, I read it the other day from Lance Zierlein, was Alex Highsmith on the Steelers. I loved that. Very similar, coiled up freak athletes. Mike Green, 6'3", 250, length, not, overwhelming, but rocket ship, man. Like Highsmith, absolute rocket ship. So, wow. Shocker.
Yeah, that's shocking to me too. I think we definitely dedicated some real estate to him 2 nights ago when we were doing the preview. I think I almost jokingly said, let's not even talk about this one. We did wind up talking about it a little bit, but yeah, man, you're right. I mean, it seems to all the way be there. You mentioned Zierlein. I'm looking at it right now. You talk about Alex Highsmith, who, I love as a player for the Steelers and how much he kills the Ravens. And I don't know, it seems like it's pretty much all the way there. And really, yeah, it's just kind of the larger story to me is the fact that they're taking this shot. They're throwing a dart at the board, and say what you will about them eschewing that policy or whatever. Feel how you want to feel about it. I'm not going to tell you how, but it's interesting, man. I mean, you look what the Chiefs did and going to get a guy like Frank Clark. That was huge for their pass rush. Great person, allegedly, maybe not. I don't know, but yeah, you're right. I don't want to spend the whole analysis talking about that, but you're right. It's shocking. It's very interesting. I'm excited to see how it all plays out
on the field, man. I mean, he's black belt certified. He will lift your wrists.
Now, when you say that, you've said that about a few guys. Are we actually, they're going to some sort of
no. This is Spenny's black belt certified. This is me. This is me saying that you can't get your hands on them. They're a hand fighter. They will wax you, wax off. They will lift your wrists. They will chop through you. You can't get to their chest. They are certified hand fighters. You can't get your paws on them quickly.
Aaron Donald with the knives,
literally, exactly. Yes. You can't touch their chest. That applies to offensive players in terms of it's just hand fighting. That is what rushing the passer is. Don't give up your chest. Whether you use shoulder turn to do it, whether you use explosiveness to do it, or whether you are using your hands. I say black belt certified. I think of Jermaine Johnson, who I loved. I think of him a lot. Jermaine Johnson, a little more full in terms of just size, a little taller, a little longer, but the get off and the aggression and the ability to win 3 ways. The trident, I always will say. I think the position I'm best scouting at, to be frank, is outside linebacker. I feel most confident in, and that I love to watch. I think it's one of the easiest as well, so that might be why. But he can win inside, through you, and outside. The trident, 3 ways. That's if you need to have get off. You need to be able to bull rush someone. You need to be able to threaten the outside. And if they vertically set and give too much space, you need to be able to have something, whether it's a move or simply just explosiveness to win inside. Mike Green can do that. He is a first-round talent. And I'm not, when I say first-round talent, I'm saying a top 20-ish player. Not could have gone 31. That's 10 or so picks of the draft. He is a first-round player. I have a first-round grade on him. He is nasty against the run. He blows plays up against the run. He is a complete 3-down player on tape and at the Senior Bowl. He was good enough to be I don't need to finish the week in Mobile. Jermaine Johnson, same thing a couple years ago. So Chuck Smith, definitely going to have fun. And we put the moratorium, again, but it's I don't want to talk about him and what he did and on his night. We have all season to talk about that. But I'll say this too, this is what we've been saying, Jake. If you have such a good locker room and such a strong culture and so much principle, then you should be able to handle, somebody who needs guidance or somebody who.
Like I always said, I'm already seeing
adverse positions.
I'm already seeing the Deshaun Watson, John Harbaugh, glad we have zero tolerance policy tweet. Holy shit, Andrew Browning. Thank you for the super chat here. $50.
Thanks, Andy.
Much appreciated. Yeah, like I'm already seeing that circulating and I totally get it. But like I said, I've said this before with Deshaun Watson, like I don't think he should have just been banned from the sport entirely, but it's like, it would have been nice to see some contrition. I don't know if we're going to get that with Mike Green because of what I've seen. Like, he's insisted that he did nothing wrong. It is what it is. Everything's alleged. So yeah, it's just a weird situation. It's going to be weird to navigate the dialogue around it, but they're hoping it's eventually just going to fizzle out like everything does in this 24-hour news media cycle that we get these days. And I don't know, it's rare that even something bad like this follows a guy forever. And I guess they're just banking on that going away. We are now 11 years post Ray Rice. I mean, they're taking a very calculated gamble here, and I hope it works out for them. I hope it works out for Mike Green. And I hope above all else that Mike Green actually did nothing wrong, like he says, and he never does anything wrong moving forward.
Hopefully. And hey, all of that extremely well said. I'm looking at Lance Zierlein's scouting report, and he put it so well about the player. His motor is insane. He is a fucking menace to defend. He is awful to have to play against because of how intense he is and his motor. And he put one of the weaknesses was, what was it? Plays so hard that he occasionally runs out of gas. Like, he will run himself fucking ragged trying to make a play. So that and Malaki Starks, Zach Orr must be going nuts, man. Must be going fucking nuts. And again, if you have the culture that you preach that you do, if you have a long-term tenured head coach, if your defensive coordinator is a former player that rose up through the ranks and you decided to put full faith in, then you should be able to help this young man get his head right if it's possible. And the Ravens taking that bet. So, I mean, at this point, the Tucker stuff must make them feel like, Jesus Christ, like whatever, they reached the point of no return. Like, it's their, one of their notable franchise players having this shit go on. I think it burst the wells and burst the pipe, and maybe it's a good thing, man. I don't.
You would expect to, yeah.
And again, here I'm not trying. We're not scared to get into the weeds, but it's like, this stuff is alleged, and like you said, Jake, we hope all the accusations were false. Maybe he's being extorted. Whatever. Don't know. Can't confirm. Have no idea. But he was a young man. I mean, precarious situations. If he was doing those things, inexcusable. But if you get into the wrong crowd, wrong situation, somebody's putting some weird stuff, those kinds of things. But if you're doing it as a grown man in your mid-20s with money in your pocket and, away from whatever, you're able to go to Baltimore, an area that you're not from, and work and make it right, whatever it is. If you did something, if you didn't do something, if you did something in the middle, then Ravens should be able to help you. If they practice what they preach, then you should be able to take Mike Green, who's a hell of a football player. And if he is someone that you can work with and that you were willing to take that quote unquote risk with, then you should be able to make hay. And again, the talent is fucking sick. This is the exact type of edge rusher that I'm smiling because, like, the Ravens can never draft this talent. This is the one time, and it has to come with, an asterisk next to it. But the Ravens can never draft these edge rushers. The only time they have been able to cleanly draft an edge rusher that is a three-way balanced first-round talent would have been Kyle Hamilton, that pick, right? And I who did I want, Jake? I wanted Jermaine Johnson. That was my, him, Jordan Davis, Kyle Hamilton. I wanted Jermaine Johnson really badly. Ravens passed on him, and he had a bad injury. He was starting to pan out, whatever. Not here to talk about Jermaine Johnson, but it's just a very ironic circumstance that this swirling effect. I would say that they wouldn't have drafted Mike Green if the Justin Tucker thing didn't happen. I would go that far, maybe even, because they could keep their image in perpetuity. So again, don't want to poop on this guy's draft night. He's a fucking baller, and hopefully he's a fucking baller for the Baltimore Ravens on the field. Yeah,
and I guess like where I would totally just 100% net out on it is like, all that's fine. It's just like, if you're going to do that, okay, but it's over now. We're not holding our head held high. We're not putting our nose up in the air at other teams. We're not John Harbaugh making comments about Deshaun Watson. We're not, we're not this group of choir boys anymore. And, stop acting like it, when it comes to these kind of things. And, uncomfortable in some ways for me to talk about. And I assume for a lot of people to talk about. And yeah, like I said, I hope that he pans out, has a great career, and is squeaky clean off the field. And even if all of that happens, I don't want to hear the term zero tolerance policy again. And I'd like to hear them address it in some ways that they have moved away from it. But we'll see.
Or it's not even that you don't even have to say they moved away from it, but you could say, like,
just tactfully
things are complicated. Situations are complex.
Yeah, tactfully explain that, you know what, we took a calculated gamble, we looked into it. I'm assuming they really did do their homework on this. Like, I don't think,
I mean, I would hope so.
I'm assuming they're like pretty clued into all of this as much as somebody can be when it's only 2 allegations. So we'll see, man. I mean, like you said as well, like if you're going to tout this great culture and this great environment, and you still do have a lot of, team captain, Boy Scout type of guys that can help nurture this guy along if he needs it. So it's a good environment for him, if nothing else. And yeah, like I said, it's a situation where you want it to pan out 100% in all the right ways. And you also don't want to necessarily hear about zero tolerance policy any longer. But again,
we have a comment here that's a good point. I'm not going to read the full comment, but that, they tried to take David Ajabo, who had something that made him fall, which was an injury. In this case, it is clearly Mike Green's off the field circumstances are what made him fall. So I think they like you said, calculated risk. And of course they would have had to vet it, but at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know, man. I want to tread lightly, but I also am not afraid to speak. Like, young men that are given millions of dollars sometimes put themselves in precarious situations. Sometimes precarious situations find them more than they would find the average person as well. So all we can hope for, like you said, that those 2 circumstances, no one was, that it was allegations and it was not true, and that he can move forward from it and be a good person and be a good football player. At the end of the day, it's a sport and something we watch for fun, and it's not the end all be all. As much as we talk about it and act like it, and all the fan fiction we put into all this shit was cracking up. I don't know if you saw Nate Tice having his realization that mock drafts are just fan fictions for grown men.
They are.
We put so much stock into all this stuff, but the Ray Rice situation was very complex and bad and very complex. And, the Ravens have reintroduced Ray Rice into the franchise.
And this is something they did pre-social media. I mean, McAllister, he didn't have like super serious stuff like this, but, shoplifting and things of that nature. And
going 190 miles an hour with a bag of blow in the car or something.
Right. Suggs, some of his stuff off the field, Jamal Lewis. This was pre-social media. This stuff was a lot easier to weather.
Jamal went to prison.
What's that?
Jamal Lewis went to prison.
Yeah, he did. And it's like, and while he was still on the team, then he came back to the team. Like this
rehabbed his ankle in jail.
Yeah, this was something they used to do pretty often. They were pretty notorious for it. They did catch some flack from the writers of the day, whoever it might have been, but different environment now with social media. And the Ray Rice was kind of that was a real crossing of the Rubicon, not just for them. I mean, that was like a nationwide type story because it was the first one that really got caught on video and really got a guy caught on hot water, and he kind of ran into that buzzsaw of pretty justified outrage. And yeah, it blew up in their face big time. They handled that poorly from point A all the way until point Z till the very end. You hope they handle this one better. Whatever it is.
Precisely. So at this point, Malaki Starks, Mike Green, I mean, Zach Orr, for what these 2 players are capable of. I poo-poo on the second round a lot. I especially when you're picking 59.
They have a really bad track record in the second round. I was looking through it recently, and it's just a lot of these guys have not worked out.
Thank you to 3 MFMP as well. Boys are back in town. Bad boys back in town. Jesus Christ. But on field, ooh, buddy. I mean, I love that Alex Highsmith comp. What else we got? It's just finally there's a juiced up pass rusher. I want to see if I can find his pro day. I'm pretty sure he put up some ridiculous numbers too. 6.85 3-cone and a 4.25 short shuttle. Yeah, that'll do, donkey. That'll do. He checks the boxes. I'm pretty sure he had explosive jumps. I'm trying to find it. 6'8", 3 cone, 4.25 short shuttle. Those are both absolutely baller. He has a comp of shorter Leonard Floyd on Bleacher Report from Matt Holder, my buddy. He was a 3-star wide receiver coming into college, so that gives you an idea of the feet and the quickness. Kamale Correa, great second-round pick we have here.
Yeah, that's like I was thinking about that. I was thinking about some of these other second, just like completely just.
Can
nothing.
I trust tree? Like I love Bronson Kafusi so much.
Yeah, he was.
I thought he was
like the original. He was like the original. Like this guy, you know. Was he international? Was he Australian? Maybe. I loved him too. BYU guy, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
that was.
He's just a Utah guy with. I think he has a little bit of Polynesian in him.
Dude, that was a draft. I think that was 2016. And like they got Ronnie at the top, but they took all defensive players after that, no receivers. And that was when Flacco's like back was starting to act up. He had already had the knee. That was just like, oh God, like what are we doing here?
Some Tez Johnson love in here. Tez Johnson would make crazy plays. Give me Tez Johnson tonight. Tez Johnson, exciting, man. Jack Wells, thank you so much. He says this team got better this offseason. Super Bowl window is officially back in frame. I mean, I don't want to hype a second-round pick too much, man, but oh my God.
It's day one impact. What did we talk about with the second round?
Very easily be defensive rookie of the year. Malaki,
what we talked about before we got going with this, it's like, oh, you pick a guy, you know, maybe for the need next year. This guy, like, based upon what we're hearing, sounds like this guy could be an impact player from day one for you. He could be like, I was talking about that 5.5 sack guy in year 3. He might be able to do that pretty early on. I mean,
he could be we're talking about like a Jared Verse, like he runs through fuckers' faces. Jared Verse, Jermaine Johnson, he could be a 10-sack guy quickly. He could be a disruptive. I mean, he's not quite built this way, but like I get shades of Khalil Mack at Buffalo. Khalil Mack was not quite as massive as he is now when he was at Buffalo. I could see Mike Green growing out a little more. Again, what do we say? Like if you're at, Iowa, I don't think you're going to put weight on, but no disrespect to Marshall, but they don't have, a top 50 strength and conditioning program in the country. They don't put a lot of NFL talent in lately. They used to a lot more, but I think he could fill out a little and get even more violent in terms of his ability to run through someone's face with hand placement. And Shedeur Sanders drops completely out of the second round. Tyler Constantine here, Mike Green versus Ohio State. Again, played at Marshall, fucked shit up against Ohio State. Competition, not an issue. And it's not like Marshall is like Northwest, Southeast, Humajumana State, in D3. It's a fucking FBS school. So I think that those things are often very overrated. When kids ball the fuck out at mid-majors, it's really not that big of a deal. College football, I think the disparity is a little overhyped. So yeah, man. And Mindwater here makes a good point. Shouldn't this be the year for a Jabo? This is his like, am I gonna have to get a job soon year?
Yeah, sink or swim. I mean, he's on notice now. I mean,
he's gonna have to start thinking about like coaching and like a life after football. If he can't make an impact, I would imagine there's really two paths. He has a good year on the Ravens, earns himself a lot of money, and floats in the NFL at least for a couple more years. Or if he can't get on the field, I'm sure another team would kick the tires on him. Hey, maybe even 2, minimum contracts, things like that. But going to have to figure out what he's going to do in his mid to late 20s in the second portion of his life. So yes,
yeah,
I think
he's had 1 sack, at least 1 sack every year. He had 2 last year. I mean, if you can manage that, maybe play little teams. I don't know if he could do that, but maybe he could carve out a niche for himself at some point. But it's as far as like being the player they thought he was going to be and like earning himself a pretty decent amount of money in his career relative to the rest of the NFL. It's looking dicey. He's going to really have to show him something this year.
Mike Green, man, 2024 Sun Belt Player of the Year, led the FBS in sacks and tackle for losses. The motor is insane. He has an arm over a cross chop. He has a hump, and we know how I feel about the hump. We know how I feel about the Calais Campbell, the Reggie White hump. I mean,
yeah.
if you've got that, to be 6'2", 6'3", 250-ish, and to be able to hump tackles and win or guards, you are built different. Impressive, twitchy athlete, man. Really, he really is. So Malaki Starks at 27, Mike Green at 59, with a lot of controversy. The Ravens are getting ripped apart on social media right now by everyone and their mother for having Tucker and Mike Green here. But, something had to give. What is the vision for the rest of the draft? From what we've heard, I heard Mike Green was off their board, but I think that was pertaining to the first round more so. But vision for the rest of the draft, what I had heard is that DaCosta loves the fourth round. He thinks that is like the sweet spot of this draft.
Every year, the fourth round is just it's a honey hole for EDC.
He's done well there.
Yes, listen, it's just funny though. Like
it is.
He got a tight end in the fourth round who is going to be replacing his all-pro tight end that people want to get rid of because of the fourth round tight end behind him. And then he got another tight end in that same fourth round who's a pretty solid rotational player. And he got this, he got this amazing punter in the fourth round. Maybe we'll see a kicker go in the fourth round this year. Maybe not anymore, actually, now that I, think about the preceding events of tonight.
That's what I was thinking about earlier, too.
I said the other day, I was talking to my brother. I have not mentioned this on the podcast, but I said the other day, I think they're going to keep him. And this confirms that to me.
I think so, too. Round 4. So the Ravens had Malaki Starks, the 3-time All-American, Sean Alexander Freshman of the Year, first team Associated Press finalist for the Nagurski Award, Jim Thorpe Award, started 41 games, national champion Malaki Starks, the explosive pass rusher at 59 that falls due to some off the field issues, that has absolute certified first round talent. Remaining picks they have: pick 27 in the third round, which is 91. They have 2 picks in the fourth round, 129 and 136. The fifth round, they have the 40th pick, 176, which is a comp pick. Then they have in the sixth round, pick 7 from the Panthers, pick 27, pick 34, and pick 36. Those are 183, 203, 210, and 212 before they have their own 7th round pick, 243. So a lot still to come. What is the vision? That's why I was stating those. Jack Wells asked here. I think the vision is BPA and probably lean to the trenches. Throw a guard in there for competition. They need a tackle coming up at some point. I think someone who could play guard today but has mostly played tackle is probably the ideal for them in the third round. But I'm not shocked at a corner. I'm not shocked at a running back. I'm not shocked at a receiver. I'm not really shocked at anything. Tight end, quarterback, I'm not freaking shocked at. If Jalen Milroe sitting there in the third round, they took him, I wouldn't give a fuck.
DaCosta said they would pick a corner, and based on the way you laid out that fourth round thing, I might be feeling a bit of a trade back here at 91, especially if you can get a fourth rounder this. Yeah.
See if they could take the 6th round and bring it forward and that kind of thing. And maybe, I think they just have their own picks next year, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think this is a bad draft to acquire more picks for next year as well. Take some of those 6 and, if there's a player, if they get one, I bet if any of those 6th round picks, someone called and offered them a 5th in 2026, they would, yes, immediately on the phone. Yes, we would do that. So does that happen? Takes 2 to tango. We'll see. But man, defensively, and again, we talk about guards so much, and I know Cole would probably, oh my God, but offensively, the Ravens are ready to roll, man. They need some depth, but Voorhees at left guard, Falele's fucking whatever at right guard, but it's not everybody's going to be an all-pro unless you're the Philadelphia Eagles, who did win the Super Bowl. But this offense, I feel like, is ready to rock and roll in many ways. DeAndre Hopkins gives you a little break glass in case of emergency in terms of injury, hopefully for the top 2 receivers you have. We had some questions about Mark Andrews. I don't think there's any reason to make yourself thinner. I just really don't. And if the cost or the benefit is $11 million and not having that depth at tight end of a playmaker, although he has sucked in the playoffs very much so consistently and really almost individually lost the Ravens the divisional round game. Maybe they win, maybe not with him just playing an average game, but
his gloves were, I don't know if you heard.
Yeah, apparently the wet gloves. So, I don't see any they don't need another 4th rounder. And maybe DaCosta doesn't feel that way if he loves it so much, but I would prefer to keep Mark Andrews, grow Isaiah Likely's role, reduce Mark Andrews a bit, who is getting up there. I know that being a diabetic doesn't make you, different than anyone else, but it is a factor. and can be stressful in the body. So, reducing his snaps, maybe that's what it takes to help him out a little bit. Reduce the
He's
snaps.
also had 7 like really high productive years at a physical position. Like he's, even that ages him faster than your typical player. I mean, he used
to be dangerous after the catch. He's not anymore.
He was a factor as a rookie. That was 2018. Like he's got some miles in the odometer.
I mean, at Oklahoma, he had ridiculous stats. More, let me see. I mean, how going all the way back, tight ends get drafted in the first round. They have 30 catches in college sometimes. He had, let's see here, at Oklahoma. I mean, he was a 5-star wide receiver coming in. He had a 62 catch year in 2017. He had 112 catches in college. Then, like you said, it's a factor in
multiple playoff games like that. It was not like a
Thor says the Ravens deserve to be shit on. It's hypocritical of them. It is. Yeah.
And it just tells me they don't care about that anymore. They don't care about the blowback.
It's all a stupid fucking thing that it was because of Ray Rice. It really started with Ray Lewis. It started with Ray Lewis. And there's a couple other things, Jamal Lewis, like we mentioned, a couple other things here and there. And then Ray Rice. Ray Rice is the reason they have the zero. It's a defensive reactionary zero tolerance policy. It was made not out of proactively feeling that way, but to repair damage to reputation and image. So it's always been hypocritical, dating back to its origin. The Ravens have had these over the years. They're not the only team. People are talking about Tyreek Hill in the chat and whatever the hell he's been doing this offseason. I don't know. I've tried to tune that out. Fucking Jesus Christ. We talk about the Chiefs. Your nemesis, Jake, the Chiefs. Frank Clark, Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill. I mean, all these guys, again, unfortunately, NFL players seem to be the number one players that end up in these circumstances. And I think that there are many studies on it, on why that is, the nature of the sport and the money that they have and the brain damage that you sustain. All of those things factor into it. So, and Thor says, for me, it's Harbaugh saying, I'm glad we have a zero tolerance policy in regard to Watson. It was snarky. Yeah, it is.
Right. No, that's really all it is. Like, if you're going to pick guys like that, as they did in the early 2000s, like we talked about, just don't hold your head high up above everybody else, right? This is, like you said, this is kind of the nature of the beast with this sport. Just guys like this all over. There are 3,000 players in this league with access to, like you said, a lot of money, and a lot of them make poor decisions with it. But yeah, again, just don't paint that target on your back, and the blowback won't be that bad. But it seems like they're insulated against it, hopefully ready to handle it. I'm sure they'll have all the right things to say, and it's going to be
I just don't think they give a shit. I really don't think they give a shit.
Well, it's a matter of speaking with your actions at this point. Like, can Mike Green speak with his actions? Can they speak with their actions going forward? Which might even mean bringing in more guys like this and, trying to build the program up as a reputation of somebody that can, quote unquote, rehabilitate these guys, or just their images as needed.
Well said. Again, don't want to poo-poo on the kid's night. We don't know. I don't know Mike Green. He allegations could be just that. So wishing him the best, hoping the Ravens can throw it to the side. And this as well. SKR said, Dane Brugler said the coaches at Virginia and Marshall rave about him. His teammates rave about him. I mean, it sounds like he's not, it sounds like he's not unprofessional about the sport of football, at least, or I don't think the Ravens would have taken him. So yeah, they're going to get asked about it 10,000 times. That sucks. They really, this is the first, it's breakthrough. The Ravens have intentionally walked into the fire. They're like, fuck it. We did it. They know that's coming. They don't care. They just don't care. And other teams have stayed quieter on issues. And I think the Ravens, by being loud about things like Watson, as a result, like I said, have dug their own grave in a sense, but I don't feel like it is a grave anymore. All right, it's over with. They'll take shit for it tonight. And then the next, like Shadur Sanders, when he gets drafted, everyone will talk about that next. And then they'll bring it up when they have a press conference. And then, it'll be a murmur until he either turns out to be a great player or, the alternative would be him not being a great person. So there we go. Ben Wolf, Mike Green, slingshot engaged, shake and bake. Let's go, fellas. Woo! Coming off that edge, exactly what they need, man. He's the exact archetype of player that they need. He is a explosive pass rusher that finishes. So could still, I mean, who knows, man? I'm hyping him up like he's a sure thing. I do feel strongly that he is. I tweeted about him a lot before, these I assume the Ravens would not take him, but like we said, I think the Justin Tucker situation made them get to a point of no return and it eventually enabled them to make this selection and forced them to have conversations about that. Maybe they were being hypocritical. So it is pretty nuts here. And yeah, they built up the character with Starks, the All-American, the president, the leader, all of those things. And again, rave reviews coming out of teammates and coaches on Mike Green, or I don't think the Ravens would have taken him. Beat Gamer says, is Sanders a day 3 pick? This is the craziest slide I've ever seen. I don't understand it. I don't at this point.
I think teams just don't want to deal with it, with Dion, and I don't even think it's about Shedeur that much at this point. I just think it's a bit of a traveling circus. And for a guy who's not a surefire prospect, like he's a good prospect, but he's not Caleb Williams last year. It's just, that you put a target on your back like that. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't even necessarily him all the time. It was a lot of, and I don't even think Dion was like really that bad. It's just like he's very high profile, very got a lot to say. And it's kind of, it's just the way that it goes sometimes. And it might be good for him, honestly. Slide a little bit, go to a place where maybe he could get drafted to a team that has like an older quarterback. Like I mentioned the Rams last night, he could learn behind Stafford for a year or two and step in that way. It could ultimately be a good thing for him. I saw Dan Patrick talking this morning about how he got quote unquote humbled. That may or may not be true, but definitely like this is a little bit of just reality hitting you in your face when you join the professional world and you become an adult. I think it happens to a lot of us. Given all the conversation that we're having around Mike Green, I think this kind of thing happening to this kid who hasn't really done anything even allegedly wrong, I think that kind of sucks. But it's just it's the nature of the beast. That's how pro football goes sometimes.
Huge shout out to Andrew Browning, 3MFMP, Jack Wells, and Ben Wolf. Appreciate all the love here for the 3,200 people watching this. Would love if you could like and subscribe on YouTube. Get us over that 3,000 subscriber mark. We've been lingerer. Yeah,
I think we're 40 away. So if you're unsubbed and you want to be one of the 40, we would very much appreciate that. We got 3,200 people hanging with us here tonight. That's our most in a little while. So we appreciate you guys hanging in here with us on this night 2 of the NFL draft as we are getting our way here into round 3. Some names coming off the board. Darian Porter was a guy we were talking about at corner. I think Revel is still out there, isn't he? So another guy to keep an eye on. Yeah, I don't know. Seems like the board is falling pretty well. And they've, like we said, they got 2 players who might well be starting for them in 2025 at some point. So
100%. I mean, both of those guys, I think Starks, you see Ardarius Washington maybe start out the year. You work Starks into the slot a bit, integrate him more and more. He's a full-time starter eventually for you. Then Darius Alexander goes off the board. Harold Fannin to the Browns. Williams, the Washington State receiver, to the Patriots, an absolute high flyer. I think him and Drake May will get along just fine. Rounding out the second round, we saw again, the Baltimore Ravens select Mike Green. Harvey, the running back out of UCF, a little bit of a shocker there. Trey Amos goes to the Commanders. Love that fit for them. Shamar Turner, who we talked about, goes to the Bears. Norman Lott to the Chiefs. Great pick there. Chiefs have a couple sneaky good picks here in the trenches. Simmons and Norman Lott, who's a juiced up interior pass rusher. And then Makuba, the safety out of Texas, goes ahead of the consensus board there. Another crazy pick here. Isaac Tesla out of Arkansas. 6'4".
Stock down on that pick. Stock down on. Sorry, that was.
Stocks are down.
That was cheap. Stock down.
Halt the tariffs. Tesla stock down. And a good point here. Chuck Smith must have grabbed that giraffe. Said, "Give me this dude. We'll turn him into an all-pro."
That's the thing, man. The infrastructure is there. The infrastructure is there to aid the development.
It's just annoying because this is what we've been saying for over a year. I mean, sometimes you got to deal with a little bit of character concerns in young men. Hopefully, again, he didn't do anything, and it is actually allegations, but it's the whole point. If you have this rock-solid culture, if you have the coaching infrastructure, all of those things, then you should be able to uplift young men who have put themselves in bad spots by doing stupid shit and bad shit, and you should be able to help uplift them there. So I've told some story. Jamison Williams, not the hardest worker on earth. The Lions have tried to dance around that because of the talent on the field. He's really done like the trifecta, the decathlon. He's gotten in trouble for steroids, guns, and gambling.
I think that was a Warren Zevon song back in the day.
Yeah, seriously. So, he helps them win games. He's a fantastic football player. Spankity says this is the beginning of the end for Ajabo. They were always going to draft an edge rusher, but anything you get out of Ajabo at this point is luxury.
I think the beginning of the end had already begun for him at this point. It's been a couple of years. Like if he hadn't gotten on the horse by this point, it's kind of S or get off the P time for him this year. So
best available remaining players here. The Ravens don't pick for a while. I would like Azaria Thomas in the 3rd round at 91. I would like that. Dylan Sampson, the running back out of Tennessee, lightning bolt. I would like that. Ty Robinson out of Nebraska reminds me of Zach Allen, the Broncos and former, what was he on the Cardinals? Yeah. Cardinals stud. Like him a lot out of Nebraska. Amazing against the run. Has some juice as a pass rusher, and you can definitely maximize it more. Jack Sawyer, I do like a lot, 100%. And
that's going to be the total non sequitur, but I'm going to have so many good Stephen King, the Talisman references. Jack Sawyer, the main character in the Talisman in Black House. So
we'll get rights from Big Time Rush when he has a good game to have a little rip sesh on here.
Yeah.
Noel Williams out of California, I really like a lot, out of Cal Berkeley. He's a little older. Torrey Horton, I've mentioned, physical receiver. Alec Ayaman, another physical receiver that I love. I know Trevor Sikkema, super high on him. Wyatt Millum, the guard tackle out of West Virginia. Again, the Georgia guards still on the board, if I'm not mistaken. That actually might not be the case. He might have gotten taken, huh? Marcus Mbao, one of my favorites out of Purdue. I think he perfectly fits. He has 18 starts at right tackle over the last 2 seasons. Perfectly fits what Todd Monken wants to do. He can reach. He can get out in space. He's nasty on combos, working to the second level. I think he could unlock Linderbaum in the run game a little bit more because he can reach so well. It could let Linderbaum be the one to release to the second level and go fuck linebackers and safeties up. Thoughts on Torrey Horton? Yeah, SKR. I talked about him here. Seen big time moments out of him. The ball skills are sick. He's an ex receiver and plays with physicality. He's got a little bit of run after the catch ability. I like the nuance in his route running. He was the pivotal player in Colorado State's offense. So taking him and making him a 3rd, 4th receiver, it's something he's going to be able to develop. He's used to being the focal point of that offense. So I like Torrey Horton a lot. I think he didn't test out of this world. Let me go check his testing again. Let's see here. And again, testing not the end all be all. 6'2 and a half, 196. Arms aren't crazy long. 4.41. He did test out of the world. 37.5 inch vert. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah. Bring me Torrey Horton in the 3rd or 4th round. Quick. I don't know. And I go through Lance Erline. Below average play strength and frame. I didn't see that. I don't remember that. Yeah, good feel. Smooth out of his breaks, all that good stuff. Do I like him?
Sounds a little.
I do.
Just looking over him.
Sounds like what?
Sounds a little Tez Walker-ish to me. Just looking over him.
He runs a more complete. Yeah, there's some of that. Yeah, I'll just say yeah. If we get Tez Johnson, we have 2 Zay Flowers. That's a good point. Zay Flowers is definitely 30 plus pounds, 20, 30 pounds heavier, but in a way. Thoughts on Deion Walker out of Kentucky? His massiveness, I think, got him a little overhyped at one point, which it felt like hurt him, at least in the media eye. He's a little too upright, but he has a motor. He gets after it. Sure. I love the length. I love sticking the 6'7" dude who can hold ground in there and bat passes, things like that. I think he got a little overhyped into like the 2nd round. This is what happens. The whole cycle is that PFF comes out with their initial big board and whatever sites you can do a mock draft on. It's like, okay, they initially had Deion Walker at 80 or 60 or whatever he was, 50. And so everyone's like, oh, second round. Okay, that makes sense based on that big board. And then when people get into the tape a little, then they readjust, but you've already been mocking him. You already know his name. You already know who he is. You get familiar with him. So I think a little bit of paralysis by analysis because of that with him. But I think in the 4th, 5th round, he'd be a really nice player. Curtis Green says ILB for pick 91. I would like to see them not at this point, maybe a little later. I'd like to see them wait on linebacker and maybe draft 2 in the 6th round. Go get 2 inside linebackers and just have there be an absolute Thunderdome battle to the death in training camp for Trenton Simpson and 2 other dudes. Wesley Nickens here. Think Revel can last until the Ravens pick next. Sure. I mean, but that would probably be a bad indicator about his knee. So tough.
Yeah, we're about 19 picks away. So that will be quite a slide.
What else we got here? I do like the linebacker out of Oregon. His name is escaping me. Let me go find him on one of these big boards here. Jeffrey Bassa, I do like a lot. I think he would be, I think, Trenton Simpson's this run, hunter a little bit that needs seasoning. Bassa to me is a little bit more of a calm. Linebackers aren't ready. I think linebacker and tight end are 2 of the hardest jumps from college to the NFL. But I think he would be a little more ready to play against the run and wouldn't get picked on quite as much because I think he's just more experienced. He can stack and shed. I think he processes the run a little better than Trenton Simpson did coming in. So apparently Roquan Smith said him and Trenton Simpson have been working out together, spending a lot of time together. I mean, when we went to Jimmy's, the things people were saying about Trenton Simpson at Jimmy's were insane. How great of a person he is, how hard of a worker he is, that he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke. I mean, when we talked to him, he was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and excited and very charismatic.
Yeah, really gregarious kid. He strikes me as a guy who could be a locker room leader. He's just got to put it all together.
100%. A little green in the gills in terms of just processing. Sam A, for those, I guess, who are joining here, do we like the Mike Green pick? I mean, I fucking love it on between the white lines, man. So as long as if Dane Brugler will stick his neck out on stuff like this and make it pretty black and white. He doesn't operate in the shades of gray. And he said there are allegations that teams need to vet. It occurred in high school and then again at Virginia where Mike Green initially was. But teammates and coaches love Mike Green. The Senior Bowl coaches loved Mike Green. The off the field stuff is the reason why he fell. So there you go. Bateman says maybe Trenton Simpson needs to smoke to slow his mind down. Maybe. Zaire Thomas, I would like in the 3rd round. I didn't like him in the 2nd round. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. He'll either be good or he won't.
Do some eatables. Keep those lungs nice and clean.
Nice and fresh there. LK Manor, like Zaire Thomas. Zaire Thomas, very traitsy. Wouldn't love him with the 2nd round, like I said. But I think that Thomas, the length, the movement skill, really strong traits. And now where you can kind of slot him probably behind Wiggins, definitely behind Marlon Humphrey. And you've got a Woozy there who can hopefully give you, 10 plus games healthy. I'll knock on wood for him always, everyone, when I mention those things. But yeah, you got TJ Tampa to compete. Would be completely fine for Zaire Thomas to sit this year, be a special teamer, slot in behind those guys and develop. Man, Cole's just having a field day with Mike Green. He loves him just as much as I do on the field.
I've been clicking through some of those cut ups, and like you said, between the lines, get me pretty horned up. So,
Damian Woody, it's really not fair what the Ravens are doing. He tweeted 42 minutes ago. So funny interaction on that tweet.
Yeah. I saw my guy Nick Wright, noted Chiefs fan, hyping the pickup. I don't know if that makes me feel good.
Zaire Thomas to the Jets. Fannin went off the board, I believe, here. Tyler Burnside. I believe the Browns took Harold Fannin. Curtis says, who's the slam dunk? Slam dunk to me is Jack Sawyer. I think that is slam dunk. I think you are getting a player that will never be spectacular. It's to scout probably in a racist manner. He is like Sam Hubbard. He is a white boy off the edge that, he's a smart, stout run defender, doesn't have a lot of bend and flexibility, but he was a 5-star. He was productive. I think he will play a very good role for you at worst. I think he is one of the highest floor remaining prospects in this draft class. That would be my slam dunk.
A scoop and score in a high-profile playoff game too. I mean, just the similarities there are just off the charts. I know that would kill our guy, the Settle Man, if Jack Sawyer would have come to the Ravens.
Curtis Green says Swinson's still on the board. That would be sick too. I like him a lot. I tweeted about him earlier today. Definitely an electric pass rusher. I do think the Ravens probably, I mean, it doesn't matter. They have so many picks, man. I was going to say they probably need to address maybe interior defensive line or offensive line, but they still, after the third round, have 9 picks. So I don't know. The Jags and Lions, I'm now seeing, made a trade. The Lions traded up to the 70th pick to go get Isaac Tesla. Tesla has 2 A's. I don't know if there's a pronunciation. I honestly know nothing about him. They traded 102 and 2 third-round picks next year to move up from, again, 102 to 70. And then they also got 2 6 from the Jags. Sent 2 6 to the Jags. The Jags got a haul. They got 3 third-round picks in exchange for their 70th overall pick and 2 6. So
this is just you working in more propaganda for your boy here, your new boy toy.
My dude, that's my husband. I love that dude. I might have become aware that he might be the GM, Mike McDaniel, but Jimmy Gladstone here, just doing the Lord's work at his first draft.
He's like the face of the hedge fund. Mike McDaniel is his quant.
Matt Mitt says, wouldn't you like more potentially better options for guard? I mean, sure. Like I said, Mbao, I think, is a home run pick. Marcus Mbao out of Purdue, I think, would be fantastic. I don't know Logan Brown. I don't even know where
about Charles Grant, William and Mary, another option.
Yeah, I love Charles Grant. Great movement skill, long arms, a lot of traits there. Really great movement skills. Wyatt Malum, another one I do like a lot. I do not know Logan Brown's game at all, though. I won't lie. I don't even know what college he went to off the top of my head. Again, probably the thinnest I am in terms of tape this year. Once we get into these later rounds, I'm going to be running a little thin as opposed to previous years. But Wyatt Malum, finisher. Movement skill is good enough. The base blocks, the combo blocks, deuce blocks, whatever you want to call them, they are the B block. They are sick nasty. I think one end of the spectrum of what I want would be Mbao. The other end would be Wyatt Malum. Malum a little more plodding, a little more violent. Mbao's violent too. Charles Rogers out of Texas Tech, another one that I really, really like. Think he might, Caleb Rogers. Yep, got me right here. Really, really like. Best short shuttle in the class. Has length, tackle, guard versatility, finisher. Quick feet and finishes. Him, Marcus Mbao, a couple of those guys. Love them a lot. Yeah. So those are kind of some of the names I'm looking at here. Millum, Granter, and Mbao would make it a home run. First 2 days. Yeah, I like that. I definitely like that. Again, I'll say Sawyer. I would like. Who else we got? Let's look just at offensive linemen here. We mentioned Grant, 41 game starter, super long arms, speed rush, not an issue. Zone heavy scheme, which the Ravens are shifting into. So I think that'd be a nice pick. Rogers out of Texas Tech. Logan Brown is Kansas. Listed as a developmental tackle there. Emory Jones, someone who's super hyped, but did start 36 games at right tackle. Strong dude. There's a lot. There's a lot here. Chase Lunt, I don't hate either. Little tall, little wiry. Probably needs to gain a little bit there. Holland Pierce, I actually liked a lot. He's a walk-on, started, I think, 30 games or so. He is huge with length and can move. He just has a lot to clean up with technical acumen with his hands and his sets and things like that. But you're going into the season not needing him to immediately start. Cam Williams, a big tackle out of Texas there. Let's take a look at guard. I didn't specifically look at Miles Frazier or Dylan Fairchild in a vacuum. I do like Fairchild a bit, but pretty surface level there. Lil Willie Lampkin, Jake's boy.
Yeah.
5'11", 270. Bulldog. What else we got? Ty Robinson, another one. He's a my guy. Any of the Ohio State kids. Ty Hamilton. Jordan Phillips would love it 91, actually, a lot. I think that would be a home run. Freak dominated the Shrine Bowl. Taylor would come on here and tell you he's like the prince of the prince who was promised at Maryland. Hardest worker on that team.
People still bringing up Felton as well for this next pick. I mean,
Yeah, I would like either of them a lot, actually. But Phillips, I think I would prefer a bit. Phillips, apparently highest character dude at the University of Maryland, hardest worker, first guy in, last one out, biggest smile. Teammates love him, coaches love him, girlfriend loves him, parents love him, dog loves him. And he's also a fucking sick football player. Definitely the best player on that defense. Obviously will be represented in the NFL draft as such. And was the focal point of offensive game planning. So Jordan Phillips, I think, would be a home run at 91. I think that's would be great value for him. I think he might go before that, if I had to guess, though. So there we go. What else we got? I'm sure picks are starting to fly here in the third round.
I think so. Kyle Williams to New England. I like that move a lot for little Drake May.
Landon Jackson off the board to the Bills. Love that. He was one of my biggest fades of this entire cycle. He tested really well. He is a bit of an ass kicker against the run. He just felt very awkward as a rusher and not fluid at all. I don't think it's natural for him. I think it's natural for him to make a big pile of dust in the run game, but didn't love the pass rush on tape overall. This is the point in the draft where all the mock drafts go to shit. Bryant out of Illinois, Martin out of Oklahoma State, Broughton out of Texas, when there's still all these. This is where those like best remaining players overall, we've got Ravel, who is the 31st overall player for ESPN. Shador, Jared Wilson was the 42nd overall player. Caleb Johnson, the Iowa running back, 61st. He's starting to slide a bit. I would like Caleb Johnson in the third round too.
Milroe still there.
Watts, Royals, Milroe, a lot of big names. Swinson starting to get where he's starting to kind of fall.
Ravens officially on the screen now. I love that moment when the ticker, your team comes onto the right side of the screen. It's like, we're getting there. Still got another, 40 minutes to go probably, but I don't know if that's how it is on the ESPN feed.
Let's hit the chat here. Any other questions? Anything at all? Let's see what else we got. Again, Ravens walk out of the first round with Malaki Starks, the 3-year Georgia starter, national champion, 3-year All-American, and then they go get Mike Green, who led the FBS in sacks and tackle for losses. Jack Wells here, Bleacher Report, says that the Ravens got the 4th and 16th best player on their board. Bleacher Report, huge on those two guys.
And it really tells me that we could tell that this was the case during last season. They were probably pretty horrified with how that defense was playing through that middle stretch of 2024.
It was killing them.
Yeah, they don't want that to happen again, not just for the actual on-the-field results where it was absolutely killing them, but I think they do take pride in their defense. They want to turn this thing around.
I take pride in their defense.
100%. And, they hired Zach Orr. It was a bit of a gamble. And they have to bring in Dean Pease to sure things up. Chuck Pagano is in that room now. Like they're taking this very seriously. I think they want to turn it around. And like you said, offense is more or less ready to go. I personally, with all the talk around guard, I would like to see some more offensive line investments.
It will be there. So many picks. It will be there.
And another corner as well. I think that would be good too. But I forget about Cheeto Awuzie. They've got him now too. It feels like this roster is shaping up to be in a pretty good spot. And I can do all my Chiefs nihilism and everything, but it's like they're looking pretty solid right now. I'm feeling good about it.
Tampa is in a great spot. Mindwater, where is Tampa going to play? He's got to break through his sophomore year. I don't think he has to break through, but I will say this. This will be my very general bullshit statement. They will need him at some point this season. They will need TJ Tampa to be in place, ready to go. He's not going to play over Wiggins. He's not going to play over Cheeto. He's not going to play over Marlon. The likelihood of all three of those guys, like I always say with the receivers, one of those guys will blow a tire at some point. Hammy, back, those track athletes, they can't deal with injury the same way that a 300-pounder can kind of hide it in the trenches. So they will need TJ Tampa at some point to play a stretch of games for them. And I don't think he needs to break through, but he just needs to look the part. I think they're more. TJ Tampa was a pick where it's like, great, can put this guy in the system. Year 3 and 4, we can have him as a starter.
It's kind of like an Averett. Like it took him a little while, and he was never a great player, but he was a solid rotational piece. Brandon Stevens, he was a 3rd rounder, but that took him a little. Listen, not a great year last year, but he was looking like a solid player that might have
2023 was fantastic. Taylor,
Yeah.
our boy Taylor says defense will no matter what be the identity. And that's what's so refreshing when I don't know, to me, when it's like, oh, the playoff losses, things like that have been, something on this franchise that a lot of the actual Ravens fans has left them feeling a little bit of what is the feeling?
Sour taste in the mouth,
Everyone's really into ashwagandha right now, the supplement. And I actually take it. I like it a lot.
Everyone
and
is.
Ashwagandha, you are actually supposed to cycle because for 6 to 8 weeks as if it was steroids, because what it does to your central nervous system eventually makes you feel, and there's a word that I can't think of, I'm gonna have to try to look it up, where you just feel nothingness. It's that you don't feel high, you don't feel low. You're not supposed to take ashwagandha for 6 months every day. There's a word for it.
Are you taking it right now in excess?
Me? I take it, like, I've been taking it on and off. I don't take it religiously, but helps you sleep at night. Great for working out. Great for exercise. Definitely recommend. But you are not supposed to take it for more than 6 to 8 weeks consecutively without giving yourself a breather. But that is the way Ravens fans feel, right? Like this point in the year and going through the regular season, it's like, oh, whatever. Again, we've said really at this point for the Ravens, it's that, you can really only be disappointed in the regular season. When they win, you expected them to win, so it's cool, but it's not that big of a deal. It's only when they lose do you feel emotion. You're like, they shouldn't have fucking lost. So that has been difficult. But then when you see the draft, it's new hope, and you see Spenny Rogan, definitely in the ashwagandha, the supplements, Todd.
Are you doing have you been seeing these viral tweets of the guys taking ivermectin like it's Zen? Like,
no.
I'm pretty sure it's satire, but I'm getting some real kicks out of that. I mean, it is horse medicine, so a little bit of a pun intended there, but yeah, it's interesting times in the world. And ashwagandha, I mean, this is I'm clipping that, and that is going to be appearing on a social channel near you tomorrow.
Spen FK Jr., I like that. So my point to be that it's nice when you're seeing again. It's the turn of the new leaf is when the Ravens make their first round pick, and Damian Woody and Wale and RG3 and everyone are tweeting, saying, or Xing, posting, whatever, saying, oh, the Ravens, they did it again. Oh, the Ravens defense, of course, a defensive player. The Ravens defense is so great. And they had a little bit of an off year last year, but their defense is so great. Like Taylor said, it's the identity of the franchise. That's my favorite part of being a Ravens fan, I'd say, is that their defensive identity is so prominent throughout the franchise. Athletic Green sponsorship.
We got a hymns in here too. I might be able to indulge in some of that. Brian and Eric as well. Yeah, listen, hit us up. Bang my line.
Bang it. Derrick Henry giving the AFC North coaches nightmares. Browns drafted straight Detroit Lions style. Let's review their picks real quick.
So they got our boy from Michigan.
They got Mason Graham. I want to see all of them. Cleveland Brown picks.
UCLA
Judkins. Let's see. All right. They took Mason Graham at 5, Carson Schwessinger at 33, Judkins at 36, and Harold Fannin. That is straight spine, defensive tackle, linebacker, running back. Tight end's not really spine, but it's spine adjacent. They are just drafting right up the middle of that team, trying to build it back up from the inside out. So what the Steelers did with Derek Harmon, they haven't had a pick yet. They'll have their next pick here a little bit before their Ravens, will be their second pick. But those are the things you're supposed to do. But there's a term for the feeling of indifference that you get from it. It's like a warning. It's like, even on the bottle, it might say, like, don't take this, you'll get a feeling of blank. And there's a word that's driving me nuts. I'll try and look it up. But Bengals, same thing. Read off. Will you find the Bengals picks for me? I want to go through those too. I'll try and find this word that's driving me nuts.
Emptiness.
No, it's not. It's more neutral than empty. It's not that like negative in connotation. Word for feeling indifference from taking ashwagandha.
Bengals got Shamar Stewart and Demetrius Knight.
Right up the spine. Physical. Run stuffers.
At 81. So we'll see if they continue that trend. I mean, they needed it too. I mean, they're
Anhedonia and apathy. Anhedonia and apathy. Those are the feelings you get from it. You can look it up. Does ashwagandha numb emotion? Studies have linked ashwagandha to a substantial reduction in cortisol levels, resulting in lower stress. it can be too heavy of an effect that makes you feel apathetic or
That sounds, I think there's a big D word that it might be associated with all the words that are swirling around.
Depressed?
Do you feel depressed?
It's not depression, though. It's not like that. It's just that you kind of feel a little, it's not depression. That's too negative of what it is.
When Dr. Cusimano recommended you to be, he said that you were having panic attacks. Is that still the case?
Oh, God. Ashwagandha-induced nihilism. There you go. Getting apathy from a vitamin is crazy.
Cheerfulism, like the guys in Big
it regulates your cortisol levels, so it can regulate them a little bit too much. You are supposed to have changes. Your cortisol is supposed to spike when you wake up. That's why you're not supposed to drink coffee the first 30 minutes to 1 hour that you wake up, because coffee also spikes your cortisol levels, and then it plummets shortly after. So there we go. There's Spen FK Jr. fully for you. Bengals on the clock here with their third pick.
Can you the next pick they make, can you do it in the RFK Jr. voice? I know you've got a great impression.
I might have to drink some whiskey first before I get into that.
I'll tell you what, this guy's got a really good motor. I just think he's gonna.
Shamar Stewart actually is one of the guys that I had on my board because he actually was taking a low-grade beaver tranquilizer that was helping him to hit the A-gap.
They might have been hunting beavers together in some far-flung location.
I was hunting a beaver with Shamar Stewart in Oregon, and actually he said he was trying to play the Oregon Ducks, but I was looking for the real beavers.
This is the coverage you guys tune in for.
Yeah, you're not getting this anywhere else.
You're not getting this anywhere else. You're not getting beaver hunting Shamar Stewart and RFK Jr. Out in Oregon anywhere else. Huh. Okay, that made me have a little bit of a headache. All right, Bengals pick. RFK loves actually. Yeah,
he's an actually guy.
Always.
Yeah, that tracks. Him and Cheryl. Just he's mansplaining things to Cheryl. Just in that raspy voice.
Actually loves when I take ashwagandha. It produces a much firmer erection.
All right, we've fully gone off the rails here. Is it weird that I kind of like Noah more than Higgins out of Iowa State? A lot of people felt that way. I did like Higgins a lot more, though. Completely different. It's slot receiver versus a X receiver. So little different. But I like Higgins. No, I wasn't huge on him, but I get it. Xavier Repsoto out of Miami still on the board, had that super slow 40, but a lot of love for him from the media throughout this cycle. What else we got? Our boy Nikhil Mehta says, Xavier Watts is my highest graded player on the board right now. If he falls to the Ravens, they really double dip on coverage-oriented safeties with their first and third picks. No, I don't think that would happen. I do not.
You know, I'd love it, but
of course, got to get some more of the good fighters, the good boxers.
Need all that Catholic guilt just racking up in the back of that secondary.
I really don't want the Ravens to draft an offensive lineman just because I want Cole to freak out.
That
would be preferred. I wonder if he'll come on here. Let's see if we can get old Coliosis on here to come on and join us. I know he's just sitting at his house, and the girls have to be asleep. It's like, does he want to go in his basement or not?
He's got that baby monitor when he records sometimes, and he's literally like tracking it as he's going. God bless him.
God bless him. Fairchild to the Bengals. All right, see if we get Cole on to make fun of him if the Ravens don't draft an offensive lineman, which now I'm full tilt on that idea. I would love to see it.
I would appreciate the comedy, but I would like to see a lineman.
Nick Adams, a big fan of the Isaac Tesla pick.
Oh, I'm sure he was all over that. Just keep chugging along, Nick. Those jokes are still really funny in the year of our Lord 20.
Oh, they are. That bit's got at least 2 more years.
He's been going strong. I don't know how long people have been following him. He's been going for like 6 years on that bit.
He's up to 619,000 followers.
Keep cashing those checks, Playboy. I'm sure you are a big Tesla guy.
Swinson or Sawyer, alpha males only. Swinson and Sawyer both Sigma alpha males. What else we got? Let's see. As really crazy. I mean, Shedeur straight up just not getting drafted here. We've got Fairchild
right now. They do the RG3 Kirk Cousins thing.
That would be funny. Princely Umanmielen went to the Panthers. There have been a nice draft. Birch, the edge to Oregon. Noel to the Texans. Wally, the cornerback out of Minnesota, never watched a single snap of his, to the Colts, 80th overall. Fairchild to the Bengals. And Titans on the clock here. Ravens within 10 picks, sitting at 91.
You haven't talked about Tyler Shuck tonight at all.
Fuck
you
yeah,
had a lot going on in the group chat and on Twitter. You were hot and bothered about him. I love the dog's reaction.
Fuck him. Fuck his dog. Fuck his life, dude. He literally throws the ball like the quarterback in that show that everyone always has made fun of for years.
Isn't that Alordi?
Is it?
I think it is. It could be
maybe it is. I didn't realize that's what it was. Throws the football like that sometimes, but I mean, I'm from Scottsdale. I get to play Orange Tree whenever I want. I've had a Roth IRA since I was 16, and my parents really love me. My siblings are all really cool. My beautiful blonde wife and my lovely golden retriever named Fido. I got to go to college from 2018. I backed up Justin Herbert. I have been on scholarship for 7 years doing God knows what. And you just know he's literally from Scottsdale. You know that dude just pipes driver. Fuck him, dude. Saints draft him. He gets a nice big bonus. I'm sure he'll get to go back to Louisville and be a commentator one day and just live the life. Fuck you, Tyler Shogan, your fucking life. Fuck you, man. Fuck you. 6'6". He's like Joe Flacco, but fast and blonde and started handsome. Didn't have to like become handsome.
He didn't have to evolve.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco really did have like a Pokemon-esque evolution there. It was like just 1 year. He just kind of like you got enough XP in the tank, and he just he turned into what
gamer. The COVID years really messed up the draft. I think this is the final year. I think we're done. That 29-year-old tight end at Miami, he's done. I think we're done. I think we finally got rid of the COVID weirdness of the 25-year-olds.
Hopefully, I hope it isn't. I want more Brandon Whedons every now and again. That was what a thrill.
Now and again is fine.
Yeah.
Now and again is fine. Man. All right, we lurch closer here. I think the ire has already. I'm sure there'll be a couple think pieces that'll come out tomorrow, but the ire has already seemingly passed on the Ravens. In the
24 hours, and it just blows over.
Kevin Winston, the safety out of Penn State. What else we got?
Steelers pick Caleb Johnson.
Winston, Columbia native. Did he go to River Hill, maybe?
Did he?
Let's see. Kevin Winston Jr. out of Penn State. Where did he go to high school? DeMatha, pardon me. Of course, went to DeMatha.
Yep.
To the Titans.
Shout out to Penn State, just taking all our guys. Good stuff.
Yep, always and forever. And who'd you say the Steelers took?
They took Caleb Johnson, I think. Is that correct? That's what Bateman Season is saying here. I think I just saw a Josina tweet. What was it?
Caleb Johnson there. Najee gone, so it'll be Jalen Warren and Caleb Johnson. Caleb Johnson fell quite a bit. That's a pretty great value. So they just went straight pounding the rock. Derek Harmon and Caleb Johnson. There we go. I like Caleb Johnson a lot. Super electric in the open field. Consistent runner, great zone runner. I think he'll fit nicely there. Unfortunately. Unfortunado. Abdul Carter gets Lawrence Taylor's number. Oh, nope, never mind. He's not sharing. He is not sharing.
Yeah, that would have been weird for I actually want LT to have that same spit and vinegar that he's always had. Cam Ward is going to get Warren Moon's number.
That makes sense though.
Yeah.
Warren Moon is sweet.
Warren Moon, Houston Oiler. Let's, come on, Titans. Let's move on from that. Let's let Houston keep their history.
All right. What else we got? Ty Felton on the board. Put your bets in, folks. We're getting close. Couple picks. Start putting in your bets. What do we think? At this point, will the Ravens triple down defensively or no? Offense. There's definitely some offensive linemen available. This feels like right where the Ravens in DaCosta and really dating back a long time feel comfortable to start taking guards. They truly must just think guards are poo-poo. I mean, never, ever, ever taking any guards.
Yeah, it seems to be.
Is Ben Cleveland the highest drafted one in DaCosta's tenure?
I think so, yeah.
Let's see. Ravens draft picks here.
Because Rosengarten's a tackle. That if we're talking interior,
talking guard. Yup. Falele was a tackle taken 110. Cleveland was 94. Tyree Phillips ended up playing guard. He was 106, not before Cleveland. Ben Bredesen 143, right after Phillips. I forgot about Tyree Phillips. Ben Powers 123 in EDC's first draft. So, yep. The Ravens have drafted one guard in the top 100, and it was 93. We've got takes coming in. We've got Jalen Royals from Lizard Wiz, Savion Williams. Savion Williams, I hate, but as a just role player that is explosive with the football in his hands, he's kind of like Laviska Shenault a little bit with maybe a little more actual speed. I could get down with that. Third, fourth round for the Ravens. That would, again, you get into the second, third, fourth round, you're like, I have a role that I want to fill, and this guy would fill it really well. Savion Williams as like a manufactured touch player would be interesting. Mbao from Curtis Green. We got Joe Hare here says Josh Farmer. Kyle Williams is gone. Bateman season. He is not there anymore. And we get Cole. Bam. Wham, bam. Thank you, man.
What up, guys?
We've been saying that we hope the Ravens specifically don't draft an offensive lineman just so we could get your reaction.
Is this Professor Cole with the specs?
Are they too reflective? It's
no,
kind of
fine,
driving,
fine.
It's
No, it's
driving
fine.
me a little nuts.
Right.
Yeah, I went to the doctor. I'm kind of making sure that I'm like almost 35. I hopefully I'm like everything's okay, and they're like, yeah, you can't see. So
you are a big time squinter, so that makes sense. Usually,
dude. So you and I did we did a show a while back. I forget what it was about, and I go through these things where I legit can't see unless I squint, and it was one of the nights you and I did something, and I think you messaged me after, and you're like, "Are you okay?" Because I literally was squinting the entire time. It's light in my eyes. Anyway, how's it going?
You have no idea what you don't know what we've been doing on here for the last hour.
It went from this really nuanced, somber discussion, and it turned into RFK Jr. impersonations and talking about ivermectin recently, and we're kind of just
talking about ashwagandha a lot. Lots of things going on here.
I've been taking ashwagandha. This is interesting.
Well,
apparently I'm the
you are supposed to cycle it like a steroid, because if you do not, you will get a feeling of what are the
Cole's
words?
just what? And he's sitting there just completely just empty in the head.
I use Legion supplements. I'm sponsored by them, and Legion's multivitamin for men Triumph has ashwagandha in it, and that's something you take every day. So there's nothing in that, and it's got a pretty potent.
So ashwagandha impacts your cortisol levels. It regulates your cortisol, and it tries to balance it it can balance it too much to the point where you start to get a feeling of emotional numbness or a feeling of apathy.
Is that
So
why I
you're
don't
very-
care that we drafted Mike Green? This explains everything.
What do you mean? You love that they drafted
Or
Mike
like
Green.
you're,
What do you mean you
you're
don't
cutting
care?
up these like clips. It's like, oh my god, I'm in total zen right now. This is amazing.
I used to give a shit. Now I just apparently last night I was like, whatever, just draft him. Who gives a fuck?
I mean, well, that's basically what we said. We were like, at this point, you've backed yourself into.
Can I rant about this for a second before we
please.
pick? Like,
Floor is
You have
yours.
because I saw someone tweet that they're disgusted with the pick, and then I read the replies, and everybody's like ripping him apart. And I'm like, first of all, like everyone's entitled to their reaction on the personal matter. Like no one's a bad person for liking it. No one's a liberal, whatever, for not liking it. Like you're allowed to feel how you want to feel based on whatever. My issue with the zero tolerance stuff and all of that is like everyone crosses their own line based on whatever the specific context is, and it's usually whether or not the player that's having the issue is any good. Like if you have a player on your team and they're accused of something, you're like, oh yeah, but is it, allegations, and like, you look at stuff like that, and it's like if they're not a good player, then people are like, yeah, we should probably get them off the team. Like 5 years ago when that Justin Tucker stuff came out, I think people would have had a completely different reaction than they did when it came out this year. That's my genuine opinion, just watching how people react to stuff. Again, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I completely
comment here, or if he's on your team or not.
For 100%, yes, that, and completely agree. And like, right, like it's like we went at Browns fans about Deshaun Watson, and then I think we were all like, yeah, we could cut Tucker, whatever. Like he can't make a field goal anyway. And then Mike Green comes up, and we're like, well, it's pretty good value for a guy that's probably a top 10. Like it's a tough one. I don't know.
Beat Gamer adds your point by saying same with Ray Rice. He was on the downturn. He had the hip injury. He didn't play as well. It was
Played terrible
easier
in
to get rid of
2013.
I'd emphasize that it is not the Royal Hour as a fan base. It is not our fight to fight. This is their public relations fight to fight, because they were the ones who put themselves out there with all the zero tolerance stuff. You don't have to defend it. You don't have to support it. You can kind of just let it play out, and however their reaction is to it, one way or the other, you're allowed to react to that. You can do whatever you want, but like, this is not, we don't have to carry water for them. We don't have to defend it.
No. And like, look what happened to Zay Flowers last year, right? Like they go through an investigation. He's cleared. You look at what happened to Xavier Worthy this year. There was allegations. He was cleared. It's, I don't know. I hate when people are like, well, I'm going to wait till the facts come out. Like as if we get all the facts anyway. We get what people decide is going to be reported on publicly, right? Like there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes that we don't find out about. So I'm just not here to be judge, jury, executioner anymore. I just want to watch football. I watched him play football before. I didn't even, when I was watching his draft stuff, I didn't even know about any of this. I didn't study the background.
We loved him. Remember, we were going nuts over him. The
incredible.
Senior Bowl, everything. We were going nuts. We're like, oh my God, this kid's, exactly what the Ravens have been looking for. And here, Tyler Burnside, Mixon and Hunt, caught on video. They're still in the league. Like the other side to this that we got into is that I think there's a separation, because we do not live the same life as these young multimillionaires. We're not involved in, and I'm not excusing any behavior, or again, like you said, Cole, here to be the judge, jury, and executioner. But when you are a young man that is given often tens of millions of dollars or $1 million, when you are very young, you are number one prey to a lot of people, to give them money, to blackmail, to extortion. You also tend to not be fully developed and make stupid decisions. And again, I'm not excusing stupid decisions. Murder. If you murder somebody, I'm never going to excuse that. But they live a different life. So I'm not going to hang out with someone in my personal life at 31 years old that is doing the things that someone's being accused of in these stages. However, it's kids, man. I mean, we're talking about stuff that this kid, was maybe involved in or maybe not involved in when he was a kid. And that doesn't excuse the behavior if he made the behavior. But I'm not here, like you said, to be the judge, jury, and executioner. And the big thing we got into here was the Ravens, who decided because of Ray Rice to say, oh, zero tolerance. It wasn't a proactive thing out of their own moral constitution. It was a PR stunt to recover their image. And it reached a breaking point because of Tucker. It clearly is a facade and hypocritical. So end it. It reached a breaking point. The bubble of their bullshit of the last decade, dating back to Ray Rice and that situation.
Jimmy Smith's allegations were after Ray Rice's zero tolerance policy came out.
Yes.
They didn't move on.
Green Turtle and Towson. I was literally fucking there.
Jimmy Smith was playing great football at the time. So they were like, nothing's going public that's going to make us look that bad. I don't know, guys. Like, I really struggled with it. I genuinely did. Cause like someone called me out hard. Cause someone's like, I reacted to the pick like 15 minutes after it happened. And it's cause Quinn is sick right now. And I was like, yeah, I was like in Quinn's room rocking her. And someone's like, well, that's ironic. And I was like, you got me. Like, that's a really good point. Like, you know what I mean? Like I have two daughters. I get it, but I don't know. I don't have all the information. I also just like, I just don't care anymore. It is what it is.
I think we all need some ashwagandha, and we all just need to sit back and let people react how they want to react. Like, that's all.
Exactly.
However they want to handle it, they handle it, and I'll criticize or not say anything as needed. It's just, they made this decision. It's on them. And I hope it works out for all parties, like I said before. And I hope he's a great guy off the field. And I hope he's a great player on the field. And this is the last we have to really significantly discuss about it. It's going to be talked about this year and maybe going beyond that. But like I also said, 24-hour news cycle, it's going to fade away to a certain extent after a certain point. And it's just how it works.
What do we think of that Caleb Johnson?
Ravens never actually had a zero tolerance. What'd you say, Cole?
Caleb Johnson of the Steelers? I don't love that. That's scary.
I love the fit. I love it for the Steelers. I think, it's definitely someone who slipped that I very easily could have been a top 40, top 50 selection.
I thought he was going to go to the Bears after they picked Luther Burden. I thought they'd go right back and get that second running back to go with Ben Johnson, but
wow, that would have been a great fit.
We're 5 away from us?
5 away.
What are you thinking here? Sorry if you guys talked about this already, but Spenny, Jake, what do you guys think?
The offensive lineman we ran through, I said Grant and Bow. What else we got? Where's best available? Here it is.
Malum.
I said Grant. We've talked about Malum.
Where's your best available tracker? I'm trying to find one to.
Here, I'll send link in private chat. Here you go. Private chat. I'm using ESPN.
I was trying to
put it in the private chat for you.
Yeah,
all right.
ESPN right now too.
So I know you love Malum. I think that's probably your best bet here, right, Cole? That's your number one guy here.
Yeah, I was told to watch out for Charles Grant too. That's what.
Okay. How did you watch any Caleb Rogers?
Charles Grant.
Did you watch any Caleb Rogers?
I don't think I watched a snap of Caleb Rogers, or I don't think I watched a D lineman against Texas Tech.
I feel like I've heard the name Dellinger thrown around, and obviously LSU, that's a big name. I feel like I've seen that name around. Are there any thoughts there?
I see Dellinger. Do you mean Miles Frazier?
Garrett Dellinger, I'm seeing.
He's their left guard.
Yeah.
I thought he sucked. Yeah. I thought I'm looking at ESPN's list and I see they have Miles Frazier second best available guard ahead of Wyatt Malum, which I think is batshit crazy. Joe Huber, Wisconsin, sneaky name, real sneaky name. Also someone I heard they really liked was Huber out of Wisconsin. But
are you hearing offensive line here? Is that what it sounds like?
I am, but I feel like the BPA isn't looking.
We have to prep ourselves for a completely random pick here because they do it sometimes. I mean, Brandon saw that one coming.
I would love Jordan Phillips here. I would love Jordan Phillips.
I don't think I spoke a word about Adisa Isaac last year, and then they took him in third round, right around this pick, right? So Braden Swinson's another guy, but obviously they're not going to go edge again. That was a guy that you mentioned earlier, Spenny, that I had marked as a potential second, third round pick. Ty Robinson would be a guy that I think really fits there if they want to go for an interior defensive lineman.
Honestly, Ty Robinson reminds me a little bit of Brent Urban in ways. I think he's got more juice as a rusher. Brent obviously had all those injuries and kind of found a niche later because of that, but reminds me kind of young Brent Urban, Zach Allen a little bit in there. I think Ty Robinson could be a fucking force, man. I like him a lot.
You know, a sneaky name that I heard mentioned a few times was Torrey Horton out of Colorado.
We talked about him a lot on this tonight. We talked about him a lot.
He's got that special team.
Jake was like, Jake was like, I haven't watched him, but kind of sounds like you're describing Tez Walker in ways. And I was like, yeah, kinda.
Literally just measurables. Like it looks.
No, but
I want to address
some of those elements.
A couple people asked about Jared Wilson, and I got a lot of tweets about Jared Wilson. My thing on Wilson, whether he can play guard or not, I had this opinion about who's the Graham Barton last year. I always have a hard time drafting a guy that you're going to play at the position that's not their best position. It'd be like taking Linderbaum and playing him at center or at guard. Sorry, can he do it? Yeah, probably, and he'd probably be pretty good at it. But he's not going to be what he.
We had a nice joke about that. Like every time a tackle gets taken, like outside of the top 25, it's like, oh yeah, he'll start at guard, and then he'll figure out a tackle. It's like why? Like he's a tackle. Like just develop.
I completely agree.
At center specifically, center is such a different position because of number one, having the football in your hand, number two, kind of the mental work that you do at the pivot and just kind of orientation wise. It's a little less extreme this, but it's almost like taking a catcher and putting them at first base in ways. They're like used to being so much a part of the head of what's going on the field.
Rarely single blocking. Like rarely are you going to get, you're only really a 5-man protection against 5-man pressure is really the only time you're going to be one-on-one, right? Like usually if you look at a traditional 4-man rush versus a 5-man protection, the center's sliding and helping, right? Like if it's a one tech to the left, he's sliding
100%.
to the left, helping with the left guard. So that to me, if people are like, why can't he move to guard? I would say my biggest concern with Jared Wilson, I think he's got the athleticism that they want. I think that they want to develop one of the best athletes on the offensive line in this entire draft. So in terms of getting a guy that can get out in space and do all of that, I'm just worried about his functional strength in those one-on-one situations, especially if they put him. And I said this about Marcus Mabau too. Like if he comes in and plays right guard, then you have an undersized center who's great in space, but not necessarily like will struggle a little bit at the point of attack against the bigger noses. Then you have a right guard with lower functional strength. And then you have Roger Rosengarten, who's also in the run game, lower in functional strength. It just gets a little concerning there.
By the way, I don't know your policy on this, Cole, but we usually go dark about a pick or two before so we can kind of react live and in the moment. So
fair enough.
If you want to focus on that, yeah, we can.
You can participate or not, but don't spoil it for us.
Okay, did we see who just went pick 89? Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Once we get the last pick, which would be the Rams here. So the last couple picks here, Noel Williams to the Chiefs. I love Noel Williams. I talked about him. Jamari Caldwell, inside, underrated big boy out of Oregon. Savion Williams, who we just kind of were talking about with the chat, maybe finding a niche role in Baltimore, goes to the Packers. So they double down on receiver between Golden and Savion Williams in the first couple rounds here. Ransall, the Tulane cornerback, feisty player, had the third fastest 40, I think, this year. Then Wyatt Malum, your boy, goes to the Jags, who have just been drafting their faces off.
Spenny's
I'm angry about that one. I know it's hard to be angry right now after the first two picks, but I just I know they liked him, and this was Dominic Puny 2.0. They love Puny. I think I was messaging you guys in the second round last year. Like they like Puny, they want to get him. Trade the fuck up and go get him then. And it's like with all the picks they have this year.
It happened a couple years before that too, Cole. Actually, no, pardon me. They took Cleveland and then freaking Miners. They
passed on Miners.
They passed on Miners, yeah.
No, they passed on Miners.
That's
my all-time favorite is Des Bryant. But like that was the one where I was like, holy shit, like what are we doing? Yeah. Like, move up like 2 or 3.
I can understand, like in the first round, it's you're not going to give up a 6th-round pick and move up 5 picks, right? Like it takes a lot. So I kind of like it's a little different, but once you're in the 3rd round, like the cost to move up 5, 6, 7 spots, I don't think it's that expensive. And I don't know. This is just one of those things. I think Wyatt Malum fit exactly what they wanted in terms of getting a high-level pass protector at the left guard spot, as well as a guy that can, be athletic enough to play in space and really help Ronnie, help Tyler. It's just these are the moments I get pissed off because it's like, why not?
Dare I say, has a little bit of Yonda to him in ways. Like he's taller, so it's a different leverage, but just the ability
converted
to
tackle,
ability to figure it out throughout a game and throughout a rep, and then start finishing a guy like might lose a couple battles early in a game and then will dominate the war in the end, starts to figure it out and finish through the play, finish through the snap. Like you said, going from tackle to guard. And I bet he could, similarly to Yonda, play a bit of tackle in a pinch for you too.
That's sacrilege. I mean, Yonda was a 3rd-round pick too. So it's like,
that's why I'm thinking of it. I really do like Malum a lot. And I've, I haven't studied him as deeply as Cole has, but The finishing, man. I just want some finishing. That's why I like him, Bao. He finishes. Even if he's undersized, if he gets you, he'll fucking finish through the whistle, and that's just something that the Ravens have lacked for a long time across their front. Honestly, Linderbaum, I mean, the NFL is harder, and like you said, Linderbaum's a little undersized. He hasn't quite even finished, the way that I thought he was going to. The Ravens just aren't as tenacious overall as I've wanted in terms of finishing and imposing their will, and just on a very high surface level, run the damn football sense, like finish. I want to see some guys put some bodies in the fucking turf. It's number one, it's fun. Number two, I think you can break your opponent's will.
That's
Deion Dawkins, dude. He'll break your will.
And I think that's kind of what we were talking about with these first two picks, with them wanting to get back to their roots. Like whatever you want to say about Green, that guy's going to finish. Starks, team captain, he, finish in obviously a different way in the back end there, but they took what happened in the middle of that season last year with their defense. Personally, they're going all the way out to finish the picture there. I personally would like to see that with the offensive line. Like, it's just kind of these piecemeal, like we're going to move Fillet to guard, and then we're just going to have a rotating door there at left guard. I'd like to see them, like, they have so many, I shouldn't say so many, but they have three good pieces, left, right, center. One more little high pedigree piece in there. I think that would be pretty nice.
100%. Where'd the Georgia guard end up going? Not Rutledge.
Detroit.
Yeah.
And then the other one went to Cincinnati.
Yes. When did they pick him? Where is
Detroit? Right before Baltimore, right after Baltimore in the second. It's like
he went in the second round. I completely went in the second. I saw him. I saw that he wasn't on here a while ago, but I couldn't find where he was. Because it was at the very end of the second. That makes sense. There we go. Right before the Ravens. Yep, Tate Ratledge. Ozzie Trapillo. Hilo. Interesting. I didn't realize he went either to the Bears. I was kind of meh on him.
Yeah.
Little too tall, a little too thin. Not quite a dancer enough to be that tall and thin. All right, I'm going dark. I'm getting off Twitter and closing comments here.
So I won't say anything.
You can say the Rams pick, but if you don't know the Ravens, if you know the Ravens pick, we're going to wait for it to come across the ticker in case anyone is joining us in that activity. Some people like.
So where does it show? Where does it show so that I'm not so that I can look for it? Like, what do you mean the ticker? Like, are you gonna put something at the bottom?
Like we're watching ESPN on our TV.
Like literally alive. Okay, yeah. There's a Canadian lag. I gotta pay tariffs on that stream, so I gotta pay that 25% tariff with that.
Well, you'll be an American soon enough. That won't be.
Yeah, true. True.
Josiah Stewart goes off the board, the final pick before the Ravens. The undersized lightning bolt out of Michigan. Fun player.
That would have sucked if we didn't get Mike Green in the second. That would have been one of those picks. If I saw Wyatt Malum, Josiah Stewart with the current needs go, I'd be like, fuck. Like, that's kind of like bang, bang.
If the Ravens took Amos in the second round.
Norman Lott. Yeah, Norman Lott, Amos, and they kind of needed those spots. But, when I look, and so, again, I haven't looked, so I'm just going to, if I'm looking at best available, the names that stand out to me the most, They won't do it, but Cam Scatabo is that'd be fun. We talked about that.
We talked about him.
Everyone would freak out, but it'd be fun.
I think after
I really think I've heard a lot about Charles
the way
Grant
they started, Scatabo would really look good. Like after Mike Green and Stark, Scatabo would be really fun. But if it was more of a second round pick, I think it would be
the Mike Green value. Well, both values really. Stark's seen as a top 20 guy. I feel like you could probably justify it, but I don't know. Charles Grant, I feel like it checks a lot of boxes. And even Marcus Mabau, I'd put in that as well, as kind of guys that are athletes that can get out there in space. So
Grant would be cool. He's the kind of tackle that it feel like we keep talking about guys that always go right before they pick. He is that. Usually that like athletic guy that has the traits always goes right before they pick in like the third round.
Picks in, about to be announced. Emory Jones Jr. You, a guard indeed, not the one we were discussing. And what did I say?
So Emory Jones, super, super, super highly rated recruit coming out. Didn't live up to the billing. He must have started, I don't know how many games, 35 games at LSU, I think. He was a top 100 prospect. He was a 4-star recruit. 24/7 had him as the number 4 offensive lineman in his class. from Baton Rouge, went to LSU. Battler, but just never lived up to the billing. Cole, how are we feeling on that? I mean, physical dude, especially kicking inside the guard. Cole, how you feeling?
Yeah, I watched LSU pretty early on because I wanted to watch Campbell, and I mean they have like 4 guys that are going to be drafted, so there was a lot of offensive line, or sorry, 4 guys on their O line. Started all of his time at right tackle. Is your typical tackle that just really didn't seem to have the athleticism to be out there. Makes it a pretty tough evaluation, I find, just because I find he's laboring so often in pass protection. But I think he's going to be, he's listed as an offensive tackle, but I really don't think he's an offensive tackle at the next level. I think he's a guard. I think what's really interesting is all that experience being at right tackle kind of makes me think a right guard competitor for Daniel Falele, which we weren't 100% sure what.
They announced him as
I wasn't
a
sure
guard,
what they do there. They announced him as a guard. Okay. So ESPN has him listed as a tackle. Like the reason I'm talking about the kind of tackle piece is because I've been really focusing on guys that could come in and be day one guards, but have that long-term ability to potentially kick back out to tackle. Keep comparing, some of the higher level guys to Tyler Smith and what they're doing in Dallas with him. I don't think Emory Jones is that guy. I think he's going to become a true guard. I think he's going to stay at guard. I don't think he has the athletic range to be at tackle. So that's just my opinion. But he's just one of those guys. He's inconsistent reaching a set point, and he gets attacked on it when he's within his pass rush matchup. And that's just going to be emphasized at the next level. So, but you move him inside.
At tackle, I think that's the case for sure. But speed guys gave him a lot of trouble, and that set point, that vertical set, he labors in those big kicks when he's getting into that vertical set. If he is to play guard, I know maybe they announced him at tackle. I don't know. I'm a little confused here. Maybe
they did. I'm sorry. That was
whatever. But he's not going to start, so I think he's going to be in the competition at guard. I think he has enough experience at tackle where it's not going to feel out of place to him. Do you want to develop him more? If that's your track, sure. But I really do imagine he's going to be a serious contender at guard.
Jalen Milroe to the Seahawks. And
I did like Cole. I feel like had good hands though. Shitty vertical set. Like you said, that set point struggled. Speed gave him issues, but the hands, independent hand usage was really good. Strong, felt sturdy. If he is within, where he needed to be in that set point, like you like to say, felt like he could anchor. I feel like the hips aren't bad considering the feet as much and the ability to drive through a little bit. So he really can dent in a front a little. I think he has some stopping power in those hands, had good hand usage, understood how to attack a hip, understood how to get into the chest. So I feel like we were talking about black belt certified. I would put him up there. I think he had good hand usage. I think he had some of the better hand usage in this class, but just too rigid in trying to get out of his stance and kick and get depth. And especially if it was, the Abdul Carters of the world or the Jalen Walkers of the world or any of those type of speed rushers that he ultimately played. So I don't know. We'll see what they do with him. Like I said, super high recruit. 36. I have a 30 here on ESPN. 36 starts at right tackle, 3-year starter.
Yeah.
And having Lamar Jackson helps you a little bit with those overzealous speed rushers.
I think for me, I've been so focused on making this line more athletic, and so to see a guy come in that doesn't have that type of upper tier athleticism, I think that's what's frustrating to me. And like, to be fair to I guess counter my own point, Wyatt Malum isn't the most athletic guy, but I was really high on him just because I think he's so technically sound that it wasn't going to matter. But Emory Jones definitely can move bodies in the run game. I think he's physical. I think that's going to be a positive aspect. Again, it's just Charles Grant had that upper tier athleticism that I wanted to see, even though go to what Spenny just said, Charles Grant needed to completely rebuild his technique. Like, his hands were a mess. He played in a weird offense where they had 2 quarterbacks on the field a lot of times running weird reverses at William and Mary. Shit was crazy trying to watch him just because, it's very rare he actually got into a vertical set. So they were going to have to completely rebuild his technique. Whereas I think Emory Jones is kind of the opposite, where he is a lot more technical, but doesn't have that athleticism. It is what it is.
I think, though, we made the point, when we talked about him, it's like, if you were hypothetically to get into the player that we seek, who is not, if it was a first round guard that was, Tyler Booker's size, if it was freaking Quentin Nelson or something, Like if it was the prodigious guard we seek, it wouldn't be an issue. But you in the third round, you're going to have to give something up. They're not going to be a complete athlete and be able to have stopping power and get out in space. So, if it's somebody that ends up playing right guard and it's between Rosengarten and Linderbaum that can get out in space, that can move, that's why Daniel Falele kind of works, I guess, in this offense. But Surface Cell says you guys seem bummed. I think we are a little bit. I think we are a little bit for sure. Yeah.
Hopefully it proves me wrong. I've already done. I'll have to deep dive him specifically. When you're watching four guys, it can be hard to kind of to dial in. But I was never wowed. I guess I'll put it that way. There wasn't any reps, but I mean, this is where when you're watching a tackle that you project as a guard, you got to key in on specific reps where he might be base blocking a 5 tech and not kicking out in space. You want to isolate those. I'm sad. Just let it go. Oh. I need some ashwagandha.
Bring you back.
Nothing. Really, just the dude struggles with speed rushers. Like that's.
But he might not be playing tackle, so it may not matter at the end of the day, right? I guess I wish I knew what the intentions were because let me make a comparison for this pick. This makes me think of Tyree Phillips, a guy that was a converted tackle that had a lot of issues. That never really
feet are better than Tyree Williams at tackle. Feet are better than that. Feet are
definitely. Yeah. And it's more of a conversion projection. I guess what I hope they do with him, I'd like to see them leave him at one spot because I do think the Ravens have prioritized developing versatility out of some of these guys that they draft.
3, 4, 5 positions.
We saw Ben Cleveland play center for fuck's sakes. It's crazy what they do. And I think that's great because it gives you game day flexibility, but I do think it's hurt some guys' development. I think it hurt Tyree Phillips, for example, moving him as often as they did. You look at Ben Bredesen, they were moving him around and he's carved out a nice little starting role in this league after leaving the Ravens because the Giants just left him at one spot, right? So I think there's a lot of value in that is being you're going to be a right guard. We're developing you to be a right guard.
I also look at what happened tragically with them losing Joe D and then Warhop steps in. I had a lot of concerns about this offensive line. They found a way to make it work with these guys. I mean, they made Daniel Falele look, I wouldn't say great or even good.
He was certainly functional at the end of the year. He was functional.
Functional guard. I would not have thought that would be the case with Falele coming out of college. So it's one of those things. It's you guys break down more tape than me, but I would give them the benefit of the doubt in this spot.
Fair. Emory Jones is a much higher. A lot of the Tyree Phillips I like, and we got God Emperor Ether here. Definitely the 2025 Tyree Phillips. Emory Jones is a pedigree player that has 40 starts in the SEC. So it's definitely a higher starting point. The hand usage is good. He can cave you in the run game. LSU didn't run the ball a ton, have that spread, timing RPO offense, but he can cave in, absolutely dent in, working downhill, things like that. He can reach block a little bit too. The other thing I'd say I didn't like just in general, the two things I really look for in offensive linemen, and Cole, maybe you like this oversimplification, maybe you hate it. Can you reach across? We've talked about this a million times. Can you reach across someone who's inside of you? I think Emory Jones can in the run game, and that's important. However, he always ends up on the fucking ground. Emory Jones is on the ground way too often. Those are two things. If I'm kind of halfway watching, maybe being a little lazy, is this guy on the ground or no? That tells me if he's balanced. That tells me if he's in control, if he's controlling his defender. Is he on his butt? Is he falling down, just messy, sloppy? That I didn't like about Emory Jones either. A lot of reps where he was out of control ends up on the ground. So to me, that says, the feet aren't clean, the core strength, the kind of rhythm of what the job is, not as good as you'd like to see. Does Emory have a high ceiling? Cole, how do you feel about that question from chat? Does Emory Jones have a high ceiling to you?
Let me throw this out quick. He feels like a crawl space to me. High floor, low ceiling.
I think that's actually a very fair point. Let me explain this. This has become one of my bias. I think this team wants to be a zone running team. And I think to have a true high ceiling in that concept, I think everybody they add to the offensive line needs to have that high level athleticism. So to Jake's point, I think he's going to be good in pass protection. Let me just try and give I think he's going to be good in pass protection because I think this puts him in a phone booth where I didn't see him have any issues doing that when he was base blocking. It was really once he got out in space, 1, 2, 3 kicks into a vertical set. That's where he ran into issues. He's not going to have to do that if he's moved inside. So in terms of a floor, I feel really good about that. Actually, I love the crawl space. Love that. That's a great way of putting it. I don't see the higher ceiling because I don't see a high level athlete, but we'll have to see once he kind of gets in there. Maybe he looks a lot cleaner, a lot more fluid once he's playing guard instead of tackle. It's even just switching up your technique, getting your stance a little bit wider, getting your feet a little bit more parallel rather than, offset. It can make a big difference in some guys. So we'll have to see. I'm definitely going to give him a shot. I just really don't see him as a tackle. That's all.
Sounds a little bit like the sheet on Rosengarten at this time last year. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong on that with the pass pro stuff and maybe not as much pop in the run game. Rosengarten, obviously a higher rated prospect, but you mentioned the pedigree spending.
Not really. In the media stuff, Rosengarten wasn't very highly rated. The Ravens took him above the consensus a little bit. Kind of graded similarly in their classes, I'd say. Probably like mid 80s players, 90s players. Ravens kind of took Emery right where the media had him. Rosengarten was kind of a little bit of a reach at whatever pick it was.
As the Brownies take Dylan Gabriel out of Oregon. Okay.
Shadur, man. Just Jesus Christ. Jones, I think he can be a shit kicker in the run game. I think that he's going to be able to dent in a front a good bit for you. If you ask him to go on an island at tackle, he will get his ass whipped by TJ Watt very quickly. Most do, especially at rookie. But they don't need him to play tackle right now. Maybe they do in a little bit. Maybe they bring in another vet. But like you said, Cole, guard. Everyone, it is the joke that we do make. The tackle has to play guard. You don't want him to play guard. Tackles are more valuable than guards. Tackles go higher. Tackles get paid more because it is a more rare skill set and it's more difficult to do. But I do like the hand usage. I do like the finishing ability. I like a lot of things, but the body can I think he understands how to hand fight, but there's clean losses due to laborious kick steps in his slide to get out in that vertical set. So, yeah, doesn't have to be a home run. We'll see the vision for Warhop. You made the comment about Rosengarten. It was interesting to me, Cole. I remember I said this to you. I don't know if you remember. Rosengarten, the Ravens took him, and we were like, okay, well, pass protection's great, but run blocking in general is going to be a work. Like he's lighter, he's more finesse. But then Joe D in the war room, I remember I sent that video. He daps up Harbaugh and he's like, he's ready to go in the run game. We just got to get him, where he needs to be in pass protection. And that to me was just the exact opposite of what I saw. Always thought it was so funny. I don't know if you remember that, Cole, but yeah, Joe D was like, oh, Rosengarten's ready in the run game. And I was like, what the fuck? That doesn't look like what I thought.
Complete opposite. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. Jalen Milroe still has not gone.
No, he went to the Seahawks. I mentioned that.
Oh, I missed that. Wow.
I love the Mike McD just dapping up John Schneider. It was a good visual in the room. Mike McDaniel is just building Baltimore Ravens West Coast, and I'm here for it.
Jalen Milroe sitting behind Gino is chef's kiss.
Gino in Las Vegas now, so it's going to be Sam Darnold, but
Hundo P. So the Ravens done, most likely for tonight. Malaki Starks, round 1, 27. 3-time All-American. Mike Green, a little bit off the field stuff. Led the FBS in sacks and tackle for losses last year. Absolutely dynamite pass rusher. Hunk against the run too, Cole. I'd like to talk about that a little bit too. I know you've been huge on that this whole process. Mike Green against the run. What have you seen?
Yeah, very, very good block deconstruction. Very underrated. I think it's hard to find a lot of tape because when he was playing in the Sun Belt, it's a guy that's such a higher level player than the other guys is playing. Like when he's playing against Southern Mississippi or Louisiana Monroe. I don't even know some of these teams.
University of Louisiana.
Yeah, it's just got, they're constantly running the ball away from him because he's like the one star player on the field, right? So it's hard to get some of those reps, but I love his hands. Like he breaks down blocks very easily, very physical at the point of attack. I think that's why I love his pass rush upside too, just because of that physicality, that ability to use his hands, play with, inside pass rush moves. I think that's what gives him the ceiling. He's a 3-down player instantly, in my opinion. I do think there's going to be a little bit of that kind of functional strength adjustment that most of these guys go through. But I like it. I like his size. I find he's very physical for being I think he measured in 6'3", 251. I love everything about what I was seeing in his game. I see a 4-down or a 3-down player. Love it. Especially against Ohio State. Like when you're a small school and you go into those big games against the bigger programs and you're still standing out every snap and they're still running the ball away from you, it really kind of speaks to it, right?
So I want to read the size. This is a little too bold, but another group of 5 player. He's 6'3", 251. His arms were a little longer, 33 1/4 inches, 10 1/4 inch hands. Had great sack production, ran a 4.65, 40-inch vertical, 10.8 broad jump. The write-up from, I think it was Nolan Naraki here on him, was produced nondescript performance with MAC title game on the line versus Bowling Green and regularly faced interior MAC competition. Will that be enough to let him play early against the NFL, or will he have a learning curve? Can learn to run the arc a little better. That was Khalil Mack. He was 6'3", 251 coming in, and Mike Green right around that size. I see a little Khalil Mack. I don't think the length, and Khalil Mack was not lauded as much for what he did in the run game as a college football prospect into the draft, but I see a little bit of similarity there. Zerline on Mike Green had Robert Quinn, which I thought was a good comp. A bit there as a pass rusher. I see that one too. But yeah, I see a shades of Khalil Mack. Now, Khalil Mack obviously would be the best possible outcome you could really ask for out of Mike Green. So that would be the high end. But size, tenacity, the motor, the toughness, the ability to run through a motherfucker's face, all of those things love from Mike Green. And then we broke down Emory Jones. So again, Malaki Starks, Mike Green out of Marshall, and Emory Jones Jr. out of LSU. The Ravens go pretty big. I mean, Emory Jones, Malaki Starks, highly rated recruits out of the SEC that started as true freshmen and entered the draft as true juniors. And then Mike Green, prolific production with the off-the-field stuff we've touched on throughout the evening. So went for some high-profile, dudes overall. Jones kind of falling off the last year or so, but
I think what's interesting, I like to go back to the Beast, right? I think the Beast is definitely the best tool right now in terms of being comprehensive.
Oh, yeah.
This is Dane Brugler's draft guide for
that's right. So Malaki Starks, 19th overall in his top 100. Mike Green, 10th overall. Obviously, that's based on talent, not necessarily on where he thinks they're going to go. He had Emory Jones ranked as the 10th offensive guard. He had Jalen Rivers ahead of him. I had Marcus Mabau ahead of him in terms of guys that, his teammate Miles Frazier ahead of him. The 3 guys that have not been drafted yet prior to him. Not sure if they've gotten drafted since. He had him projected as a 4th, 5th round pick. So kind of that 4th round comp pink range where the Ravens were going to be picking. So it'll be interesting to kind of see what happens here at the start of the 4th round, leading up to the Ravens having those 2 picks really close together. It's really just begging the question, what's the delta between Emory Jones and some of these guys that are projected to play guard that are taken, in that 129-ish range, right? Because that's where we're going to be comparing to, if they went with a different position here or a different guy who would have been available later. So that's going to be the question for me. This is the first pick that I'm not thrilled about, which I think is fine. Like, it happens. I'm seeing a lot of people getting mad at Twitter because I said very meh. I don't think that's not really that's that negative. Then,
I mean, God forbid you're critical sometimes, right? God forbid.
Some guys going at me right now, like saying the second line of the fucking tweet says, if he's moved to right guard, I'm interested. And he's like, you're talking about as if this is his starting tackle. Like, the second line of the fucking tweet says, if he's moved to guard, I'm okay with it. If you think he's going to be moved to guard, then what are we talking about?
This is the 3rd round. There is a high percentage chance that none of these guys do anything. None of the high name guys that you want. Some of the guys that we don't know anything about at all. I just went a little Canadian there. Some of the guys, as Cole would say, some of those guys will maybe turn into Pro Bowlers. You don't. It's the third round. We can all just let's not crash out. Cole, I know you got a lot of pent up frustration that ashwagandha is just seeping out of you right now.
Yeah,
But
it's been a rough day.
yeah, like, don't argue with the bots on Twitter. Just keep it rolling. Just do the analysis.
Bateman Season says, so Javon Holland, Khalil Mack, and a shitty guard. I can live with that. Because I count.
You got to pay your tithe a little bit.
You call him Khalil Mack. I missed that. Yeah, I saw. I think it was Zearland had Alex Highsmith, and I like that one because
we talked about. Yes, that's an awesome one.
Highsmith with those inside pass rush moves. I really think that's
shorter arms too. Shorter arms than Highsmith, I think.
Yeah, I really like that comp. That one popped out to me. But Khalil Mack, that's kind of that upside one. Like that's if he's not in the crawl space, I think that's what we're looking at. But I will say, Mike Green is one of those guys, high floor, high ceiling. Like that's so. I don't know what room in the attic. High floor, high ceiling. Jake,
he's the 3-car garage. He's in the 3-car garage. He's in
the 3-car. No, a crawl space, a high floor, right? But what would be high floor, high ceiling?
The brownstone, high floor, high ceiling.
There we go. Okay,
the brownstone.
Okay,
love that.
I grew up in a bungalow.
He says, "Why are the Ravens about to pick 11 players, bro? Because they fucking love it.
We do this every year. Oh my God, they got 14 picks. There's no way they're gonna, they don't even have the room for these amount of guys, and they trade back a million times. They pick 16 guys. Like,
they're gonna draft a fullback. Like what? Why? No one knows.
I actually don't think there's a fullback even in this class.
Who's the UNC cat? Who's the UNC cat?
I don't know.
Willie Lampkin? Eddie Lampkin?
I want to see him just do it, man. I want to see him play center so bad in the league. I want to see it so bad.
Could be the next Pat Ricard.
Third level foyer is what Jack Wells says. Third level foyer. There you go. That's Mike Green. My prediction for the rest is that the Ravens actually make 10 picks in this draft, but they trade out and acquire a 2026 day 3 pick. So I think they only have 7 on the board for next year. So I think they make 10 in this draft and actually trade out and get one next year. So, yep. And Taylor Hodges in lockstep with me here. There we go, Tay. Yep. So prediction there. This really in ways kind of is the draft, right? Like I can pretend to know more about guys that the Ravens pick in the 160s tomorrow. And like I said, probably more shallow than I've ever been in terms of the day 3 depth of a draft class since I've been doing this content stuff. But this is kind of it, man. I mean, day 1 and 2 is kind of it. That's kind of the story of your draft, especially in April and May and going into the year. So Mike Green, Malaki Starks, and a little bit of offensive line hope. Can't ask for too much more, man. Really can't ask for too much more. Mike Green comes with some controversy, but actual first-round talent, like I said, he is not a fringe first round. He's not a 1-2. That's a top 20 player to me in this class, strictly on the football field, strictly from production, testing, and what we saw on tape. So walking out with Starks and Green, couldn't ask for much more. Jones, not going to be overly critical. It's a 3rd-round offensive lineman that's got some starts at right tackle and is a little stiff. So, we hate draft grades, but hey, I'll give 2 thumbs up.
We're off to a good start. We're addressing needs. We're bringing in competition. That's what matters the most. Whatever gets Daniel Falele off the fucking field, I'm down for.
There we go. Jake, what's your big takeaway here as we go through night 2, as we wrap up here?
It's like I've hinted at. It feels like I really feel like, despite the fact that I think the season, obviously, at the very end in heartbreaking fashion, I think the season ended fairly well for them overall, but I think that middle stretch, it just it stung their pride a little bit with the way that defense was playing. They got 2 guys that could potentially be starting on day 1 for them with their first 2 picks. And then this just, this Emory Jones, I mentioned the random thing. This isn't totally random. They always just grab a guy that's kind of out of left field, but maybe he said, if he turns into a Tyree Phillips, that's perfectly fine. Tyree Phillips was like a fine 3rd-round pick, whatever he was, out of Mississippi State. Like you mentioned, Cole, it's competition along the offensive line where it's needed in the interior if you do kick him inside. All joking aside about the tackle to guard thing, I think that does make the most sense for them. Like you said, Cole, getting Falele some competition, I think that is a good thing for all parties involved. I'm pretty pleased with the on-the-field result as far as these picks played out. I'm interested to see how the Green thing plays out over not only the short term, but the long term. But overall, it's really hard to complain about what they've done as far as the on-the-field prospects go, and excited to see how the conversation plays out from here. And I'm really excited to read all these, letter grades as far as the draft goes. Will the Ravens get an A+? Remains to be seen.
A- they'll get, because Emory Jones, blah, 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 blah.
Nobody can ever go to A+. So it's always got to be like A or A-, right? You got to
Malum, it might have been an A+. Just
couch. You got to couch your takes a little bit.
They
like
give away a 6th-round pick. They move up 3 spots. Wyatt Malum's a Raven. Everyone has an erection. It is what it is.
I also am recalling who was the so it was Simmons on one side, Jackson for Ohio State. It was Simmons playing left tackle. Jackson was inside. What was the other tackle's name? Fryer? Number 70, Cole, do you remember?
Yes. Yeah, the white guy. Yeah.
Mike Green, yeah,
Abused
well,
him.
he is, but Mike Green hit an inside out spin move on him, like a no spin
for
move.
the sack.
Yes. So fucking filthy. I just saw Baldy. I forgot about that rep. I just saw Baldy tweet out a little clip saying how good Mike Green is. I completely forgot about that rep. Mike Green can do freaky deaky stuff, man. I
tweeted three sacks that he had this year. One against Ohio State, which is that play. So it's on the timeline about an hour ago. And then there's 2 against. He had like 4 sacks against Southern Miss. And honestly, that Southern Miss quarterback can move too. And the fact that he was getting those ankle tackles on him, I think, was probably the most impressive thing I saw in his tape. Because when he gets to the quarterback, unlike Odafe Owe, he makes the tackle. So it's not going to be almost green. He's a real pass rusher.
He is. Yeah, I saw you tweeting out a bunch of clips there, so go check out Cole's timeline. I'm sure he'll have a full video on Road Graders a little bit later. But Malaki Starks, Mike Green couldn't ask for 2 ready-made impact defensive players more. And really, I mean, we bitch about guard like we've talked about Cole, but the Ravens offense is pretty much ready to go. I mean, if Voorhees and Flele are day 1 guards, it's not the end of the world. Is it ideal? No, but Flele's okay, and Voorhees you think you can get a little bit more out of as the season wears on, especially if Warhop is able to settle and it's a little more calm. And that's your only focus. Your running back room's sick. Your tight ends are sick. Your quarterback is amazing. Your receivers are in place. Now you can focus on developing your guards. Linderbaum's good to go. You're going to develop Rosengarten. He's already in a good spot. Stanley is what he is. That's the focus of the offensive side of the football, is getting those guards up to speed. So this offense is ready to cook. And you add, I think, playmakers really to the front end, to the back end, and would love to see the Ravens add another corner soon. So a couple still long strong corners out, but maybe we'll go live again, maybe not tomorrow, but been a pleasure. If there's any other takeaways you guys want to get into, now's the time. Jake or Cole?
I think I'm all taked out. What do you got? Coley boy?
Anything lingering, Cole?
Let's just get Daniel Flele out of the starting lineup. That's my last comment.
There you go.
Well, there you go.
Sick of this. Danny boy, oh Danny boy.
The pipes.
I think that does it.
Oh no, Jake's not done.
You get me going on something like that. That's dangerous territory.
There we go. All right, folks. So I think that does it. 4,000 of you fuckers came in here for this one between Twitter and YouTube. Like, subscribe, get us over that little 3,000 mark there. Appreciate Cole. Go check out Road Graders. He'll have some fun tape on Mike Green. You bet your sweet ass. You've probably already done a video on Mike Green, if I'm not mistaken.
I had a Senior Bowl thing where I had him in a video with. So there's some tape out there. My plan is I'll do Malaki Starks on Monday, Mike Green on Wednesday, and then Emory Jones on Friday. And I basically for the next 3.5 weeks, it'll be Monday, Wednesday, Friday every week doing a film breakdown until we go through the draft class. I spaced it out last year, and people seem to be engaged throughout, so I'm going to keep doing that. Somehow Rasheen Ali was my most watched video of last year's draft recap, which
maybe Rasheen Ali himself saw it and liked it.
I don't know. It hit like 12,000 views. I was shocked.
If they pick Scatabo, you're going to have 26,000 views.
I swear to God, it's fantasy football. Like I think these dynasty football nerds that are doing mock draft or doing drafts in like June are like Rasheen Ali tape. Let's go see if he's going to be good. Let me tell you, my video did not prepare you for your dynasty draft.
Oh boy. Luckily you're not going to get any views because the Ravens haven't taken any skill players on the offensive side of the football.
Yeah,
so there you go.
Yeah. It'll be boring, but it's hard to break down safeties in this college football.
It sucks. It's
your channel is not called the Harley Davidsons. It's the road.
We're here for the Emory Joneses of the world. So
absolutely. There we go. Jakey boy, take us out of here.
All right. Well, thank you all. 4,000 plus. It's got to be in record territory for us, at least for a non-game recap stream. So we appreciate all you hopping in as Cole hops out there, and check out his channel, Road Graders, like we said, at Cole Jackson FB on X to get all his breakdowns and analysis, at Ravens for Dummies on X. For Spennies, I am at Jake Louque. That's LOUQUE. Follow us for more promotion, more takes at Exit 52 podcast. And like we said, anyone hanging out in the YouTube that wants more content on the Ravens or the Orioles, if you swing that way as well, subscribe to us here on the YouTube page. Comment on all the videos, like all the videos, get that algorithm pumping for us. We appreciate it very much. Shout out to our presenting sponsors, in Jimmy's Famous Seafood, and shout out to you all. We'll have more draft content coming your way very, very soon. And in the meantime, enjoy your weekends, and we'll talk to you then.
See you.
Arrivederci.